It's the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen, live on Bucs Report.
Welcome to the Audible. Thank you guys for making the right call here every Thursday night, live on Bucs Report. We've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We've got guests galore, starting with John Ledyard of Pewter Report at 8:15. At 8:30, we'll have Yo Murphy, former Buccaneer and currently of Yo Murphy Performance Center, where he's training some of the top guys in the draft, some of your current Buccaneers players. After that, we'll have Bucs Report's own Evan Winter coming on here, talking a little bit of schedule, a little bit of minicamp, what to expect for this season. And then moving on to that, we'll have Jacob Charnow breaking down the halftime, as he always does, like nobody else can. He'll come in here. And then wrapping up the show, we'll have Kenny Morales of Spectrum Bay News 9. Plus, we'll be taking your calls. We'll be hearing your thoughts. We're also live here on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Locker Room. I'm going to drop some links in the comments. What's going on, Ben? What's going on, Ron? Good to see you guys here. Good. Thank you for everyone joining me on all platforms. We're going to have a great show, like I said. We're going to jump right into it, though. We'll jump off into the kickoff, which I think we all know what the biggest topic right now around the Buccaneers is that schedule release that just came out last night. The biggest game on there. You know what? Let's start it off real quick right here. You know, if you guys want to call in, go ahead. The number's right there. If you are on Locker Room, go ahead and feel free to hit that speaker request and talk to me about the schedule. What are your thoughts on it? Obviously, the Cowboys to open up. You know, you have a tough little stretch there where you're playing the Rams, you're playing the Patriots, the Dolphins, and then a Thursday night game on short rest against the Philadelphia Eagles. To me, that is one of those games that I think, I wouldn't say scare me, but I think it's definitely puts you in a difficult predicament when you're always on short rest and playing those three tough teams ahead of you before you play the Eagles with those really tough defenses. But we'll kind of get into it a little bit more here. Preseason opens up with the Cincinnati Bengals at home, Tennessee Titans at home, and then the Houston Texans in Houston. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with these third preseason games because in the past, these third preseason games have been kind of treated like, you know, dress rehearsals for the real game. But with only 3 of them instead of 4, do they treat that second game like that? What do they do? The fourth game we know is kind of that worthless game where they're playing a lot of those guys who, you know, barely have a shot to get on the roster. But how do they do it now? Is it going to be that second preseason game that would be against the Titans, which to me, I think that's the stiffest competition of the 3 preseason games they have with the Bengals and Texans. So that's something to watch, is to see how they manage what the games are going to be like in the future with only 3 preseason games going forward. But then we'll jump right into that regular season schedule, opening up against the Cowboys, kickoff against the Cowboys at home, Thursday night game. It's going to be a doozy. The headlines are already roaring. I think the Buccaneers opened up as 6.5 point favorites for that game. So already, you know, get your bets in before they move. You know, they have the storylines, America's team. If you saw Tom Brady's post, you know, saying he's excited. It was Agatha after all, you know, so who knows about that. But, you know, Dak Prescott returning from injury. So you have some storylines there. I thought it would have been maybe possibly better to have a team like the Saints, but, you know, after you've already opened up against them 3 out of the last 4 years, do you want to make it 4 out of 5? I'm not really sure they did, but it's going to be a good game. All eyes are going to be there. All eyes are going to be on Tampa Bay with the opening ceremony, the banner dropping, going to be a great atmosphere. And then they stay home again for the Atlanta Falcons. That Falcons game, we'll see first. We'll see first up and close and personal early in the season what Kyle Pitts can add to that offense. That defense still looks pretty rough. So, you know, the Buccaneers should be able to, if they get off to the hot start, like I think we all think they will, they'll be able to, you know, pretty easily handle that Atlanta Falcons. But then here comes the rough stretch early in the season. You have to fly out to LA to play the LA Rams for a 4:25 game with the whole, you know, time zone and everything like that. It turns out to be like, for their body, a 7:25 game, right? 6-hour flight out there. You play them, then you come back home. After that game, you have a week of practice, then you fly up to New England. So you're playing one of the toughest defenses at home in LA, then coming home, flying up to New England, playing another tough defense. And we all know Belichick's going to scheme the heck out of that for Tom Brady's return. They have a really tough defense. That's a game that I'm looking at. Sunday night game, the first Sunday night game of the season for them. It's going to be interesting. Guys, like I said, numbers right there. If you want to call in, if you want to make some comments, feel free. Like I said, we're on multiple platforms tonight, so feel free to tune in on whichever one. Oh, we got someone on. Shravan, how are we doing today? What do you got for us?
Nah, I wanted to be part of your show. I really come on, just want to support you.
Oh man, I appreciate it for sure. So, what do you think about that Patriots Buccaneers game? Where's your money at for that one?
I think the Buccaneers will win, but I think the game will be interesting because it's a new quarterback. Like, I think the Patriots will they start Mac Jones? Do you think they'll start Mac Jones?
That's a good question. I mean, we're going into it'd be the fourth game of the season. Has Mac Jones shown enough in preseason? Has he shown enough throughout the first couple of games? Has Cam Newton faltered enough for them to put Mac Jones in? That will be a big storyline to watch too. Where do they go? Mac Jones, more of a similar type quarterback that was in that system with Belichick had Brady. Cam Newton kind of different from what they had, and we saw how effective he was running the ball, how ineffective he was throwing the ball. It will be interesting to see. If you had to put money on it, would you say Mac Jones is the starter, or would you think that Cam Newton's still back there throwing passes?
So I think Cam Newton will start at least till week 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And if he plays well, I think he'll start the entire year, and Mac Jones will be redshirted.
Yeah.
But I think, Cam will start, and Mac Jones, I think it's good if you have a good coaching staff for a quarterback to learn behind another good one and get to a NFL professional fitness regimen, to put in better words. Like, it's different, right? Whatever you do in college and whatever you do in the pros, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Professional diet, like you have dietitians, like you eat right, you train right, you practice right, you do everything right in the pros, because otherwise you can't stay in the pros. So I think that's helpful when you have actually a competent quarterback playing ahead of you, and it's helpful when you have a good coaching staff. Like, if you put you have a bad coaching staff and redshirt a young quarterback, it's useless. Like, what's the point? But if you have a good coaching staff, as the Patriots have, as you know, you're a Patriots fan. So I think that will be good. I have some questions to ask you. Like, what games are you excited for? Are they the divisional games or the non-divisional games? Because, like, the difference between NBA and NFL is, like, the division games are more rivalries, and it's more important. Like, fans care about that than out of division. Of course. Games.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some games, if you're a fan of the team or cover the team, that you looked at, you circled. Obviously, that Rams game, the Patriots one was the biggest one that the entire country circled. But the Bills game as well. But yeah, I think those Saints games, I think Atlanta and Panthers, I mean, you look at them, you see where they are on the schedule, but really the Saints games are what Buccaneers fans, really look at it and circle on their map. So besides those, they look to see where the Saints game is and look to see where the other opponents are. So, you're circling those Saints games, you're circling the Rams game, you're circling the Bills game, you're circling the Pats game, and then the rest of them, it's kind of like preference. Like, okay, I want to see them play the Cowboys, or I want to see them play the Dolphins. I know our own Ray Kennedy here is really excited for that Dolphins game. So I know he's excited to see that. I know some of the other guys on here are excited to see, that Cowboys game. So they're probably circling that. For me, it was the Patriots game, obviously, and then that Rams and Bills game. I want to see what they can do against the Bills, who were in the AFC Championship game last year, and I want to see what they can do against a team like the Rams, who have a really good defense, have for all intents and purposes, I believe, improved at the quarterback position, and to see what they're about. We're going to see them early. So I think that gives the Bucs a slight advantage, where they're probably still trying to figure everything out, the offense in a real-time game situation. So I think that gives them an advantage. And obviously the Buccaneers offensive line holding a guy like Aaron Donald without a stat last year, although the Rams still won. I'm really interested to see that game as well.
Thanks for answering my questions, Josh.
Always.
I mostly watch NFL through Red Zone, so I don't know how many Bucs games I'll actually watch.
Well, there's 5 on primetime. We'll get into those right now. But Sharon, thanks for coming up, man. I appreciate it.
Boo!
I had to boo my man real quick. But yeah, I mean, the games, we'll get into those. Let's get into those primetime games right now. I mean, you have 5 primetime games on the season schedule. Obviously, the first one we're going up against the Dallas Cowboys. The second one you have, and this is the tricky one. The second one is against the New England Patriots. But the tricky one right here for me is that third primetime game. Obviously, we know the Bucs were 1-3 in primetime last year. Not the best statistic, losing that Thursday night game, losing the Sunday night game against the Saints. Losing also against the Chicago Bears on Thursday, and I forget the other game they lost against. Pardon me, but was it no, it wasn't the Chiefs. Was it the Rams? Was the Rams the other primetime game? I don't know. Someone remind me in the comments or somewhere like that. But that Philadelphia Eagles game, that Thursday night football, we all know how Thursday night football can go. You're on short rest, and the Buccaneers having to play the Rams, Patriots, and Dolphins. 2 of those games on the road. One of them, then going back on the road to play the Eagles on only 4 days of rest after playing really tough, traveling and then staying home, but really playing tough defenses might wear that offense down a little bit. So that's one of those games I'm looking at. That's a primetime game. Then they have the Giants. Their only Monday night football game of the season so far is against the Giants. Actually, only Monday night game period, because unless they get a Monday night game in the playoffs, which is now, something that's happening this year. There'll be Monday night games in the playoffs. So that'll be the only Monday night game they have. Then they'll have another primetime game on Sunday night football against the New Orleans Saints. And then they'll close the year out. That's where they'll close the year out with primetime games. So 5 primetime games at top, but that's what I was going to say. The Buffalo Bills is a 4:25 primetime game, but I think that game that week is one that could easily be flexed out if they wanted to and put the Buccaneers in that spot against the Bills. And that's what I think most likely will happen if looking forward. But guys, feel free to come on in, give us a call. We're going to have John Ledyard here in a couple minutes, but if you guys want to come up onto the stage, if you guys want to give a call, if you want to, I can drop the link here in the comments, and you guys can go through that. We'll run through some of these comments. We've got a bunch of other stuff to talk about too, though, not just the schedule, because rookie minicamp is here. It starts tomorrow, goes into Saturday. I'll be there live in person Saturday. Make sure you guys are tuned into my Twitter at Joshua_C_Allen. I'll be live tweeting from practice, giving you guys some videos, up close look at Kyle Trask and these Joe Tryon and these rookies firsthand. So make sure you're doing that. But speaking of these rookies, the Buccaneers made it official today and signed 3 of them. All the rookies were in the building. If you haven't seen that, go to my Twitter. I've got tweets from the Buccaneers page of all the rookies showing up, from Joe Tryon to Kyle Trask, all the way down to Grant Stewart, who's one of the guys they signed. Grant Stewart, 7th-round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. He signed his rookie deal along with KJ Britt, 5th-round linebacker out of Auburn, and cornerback Chris Wilcox out of BYU. All 3 of those players have signed their rookie deals. They're standard 4-year rookie contracts. Doesn't guarantee them a roster spot. We saw what happened last year with Chappelle Russell, the running back the linebacker who ended up bouncing around the practice squad and now with the Jags, and also Raymond Calais, the running back who's now with the LA Rams. So, but they signed they're under contract. And the thing about those is the top 51 rule, which refers to salary cap, means none of those guys will count against the salary cap. If much, $100,000 or something like that. So it still leaves the Bucs in a good position. But that's not the only news coming out of rookie training camp. They also signed all their undrafted free agents, except for one of them, Leighton McCarthy, linebacker out of FAU, Florida Atlantic University, was supposed to sign on, but he unfortunately showed up to the facility and failed his physical. So he might be under consideration to bring back, but as of right now, talk about a letdown. You get to the facility, you're all pumped up, and you fail your physical, and now he's on his way back home. So feel for that guy. Hopefully he can get right, and maybe they can give him another chance. But it's definitely a tough blow for him. But they brought in their other guys. Elijah Ponder, defensive lineman, is one of them. Zadarius Hutchinson, who I think has the best shot of making this roster. He's played 4 different offensive line spots. Most recently, he played guard. He played tackle before. 11 starts there in 2019. He's from South Carolina. He's a big man, and I think that he could definitely I have him making my 53. So he's definitely a guy who I think could come in here and compete for a spot. TJ Simmons is a wide receiver. They have, let's see, Calvin. I'm doing this by memory. They have Calvin Ridley, I believe his name is. He's a tackle. They have Cameron Kinley from Navy. He's a cornerback. They have another safety on there, Lawrence White. So they brought in a handful of players. It's going to be really difficult for these guys to make the roster where there's so much depth. And then they went out and they brought in more players. We saw last week, we went over the list with Nate Brooks, Joe Johnson, Raven Green, guys like that who can come in and really, shore up that competition for that final roster spot against some of these rookies they drafted and second-year players. So these undrafted free agents have a really uphill battle, but I think Sedarius Hutchinson, I know John Ledyard will agree with me here on Sedarius Hutchinson that I think out of the rookie free agents, he's got the best chance to make the squad. A couple other things. Greg Auman broke some news real quick earlier today. So I've been saying we won't go back to last week on the show. There's 85 roster spots accounted for if you included those undrafted free agents. Now with Leighton McCarthy, you're looking at 84. But there was room for 5 guys to come in, and we can only bring 5 tryout players in for minicamp. And it looks like they're bringing in some veterans instead of undrafted guys. Wide receiver Amara Darabah, former third-round pick from the Seattle Seahawks. They're bringing in tight end Jarrell Adams, safety Curtis Riley, cornerback Antonio Hamilton, and a name you guys might remember, and he played with the San Diego Chargers last year, is running back Troy Maine Pope. So they're bringing those guys in there. I knew they'd bring in a running back, and I've been saying that the last couple of shows just because they didn't have a running back, a young running back to bring in here. CJ Prosise is still recovering from injury, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but seems like the guy's always injured anyways. So, they'll have him on board again. Leighton McCarthy failed his physical. So they're at 89 roster spots right now with these guys. Now, these guys aren't signed, but, if with a good tryout, they could lead to signings and be, some competitive guys for camp. And then before we get into our guest, because he is in the building, I want to give a big shout out. Congratulations. They're not watching this. They'll probably never watch this, but, congratulations to Chris and Mariah Godwin on getting married. Big achievement. If you saw some of the pictures on their Instagram, it looks like they had a wild time. All the guys were there. When you get Cam Brate, Scotty Miller, Tanner Hudson, Mike Evans, and Godwin, if you guys watched that boat parade, it got a little bit wild in there. But with that being said, let's bring in our first guest here. He's the man, the draft guru around these parts, John Ledyard from Pewter Report. Let's get him in here. Let's talk a little bit of schedule, a little bit of rookie minicamp. John, how we doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to have you on. Thanks for coming on.
I'm not actually in the – Johnny Dean's asking if I'm actually in the building. Technically, I'm not in the building, I guess.
No,
in the stream.
He's in the stream. It's Johnny Dean's not living if he's not giving me a hard time. We'll turn the phone number off. But so the schedule came out, and we touched on our thoughts Tuesday on Locker Room about what we thought was going to happen, where these might be placed. But now – we had the full schedule in front of us. What are your thoughts when you first heard and I know we all heard the Cowboys news first, but as they started trickling in, what was the first thing you kind of looked for and looked at and was like, okay, this might be a difficult game or this might be a difficult placement? And just kind of talk to me about that a little bit.
I think just the way the season opens, you come right out and you've got 3 good quarterbacks right off the bat. Then the rest of the way, there's not a ton of – it's not really loaded with great quarterbacks. There's going to be, in fact – there's probably 4 teams they face, I think, or 4 matchups at least where there's a quarterback carnival of unknown there. So that's part of it. I think the other thing is the amount of rookie quarterbacks that they could play this year. We'll see what happens. But they could face Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson if it pans out that way with those matchups for those teams. So, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for this defense to kind of sharpen their teeth, I think, against subpar quarterback play. But at the beginning of the season, you better be on it defensively because there's a lot of good quarterbacks right out of the gate.
Yeah, exactly. Now, were you surprised seeing that Rams and that Patriots game so early in the schedule? Because I looked at it and I was like, I for sure thought that Patriots game would be in November, kind of build up to it, but they put it right there in week 4. And then the Rams game too, right before it. I mean, that sets up, and I just talked about it a little bit, going past that week 4 game. You got Miami at home, and then you travel up to Philly. And I believe it's week 6 on a Thursday night game. That stretch of 3 really solid defenses, 2 of them on the road, and then go to the Eagles presents to me a problem. But how, those games early right off the bat. Were you surprised by it? Were you expecting that?
Well, I think the New England one makes a lot of sense because that game, the intrigue is solely, it's Brady versus Belichick. It's not really Patriots versus Bucs. It's Brady Belichick. And so you want to make sure you get that one in, without too many games in case something were to happen to Brady, God forbid. But, if Brady isn't playing that game, it loses a ton of its intrigue. It's, its ratings value. Obviously, it's about his return there. So makes sense to me that one would be earlier in the season. Now the other one, which other one did you ask about? The Rams game.
The Rams game, yeah.
Yeah. That one I could have seen being later in the season for sure. That one, but there's a lot of elements that go into that, obviously, but it'll be good for the Bucs. I think to have them early. Stafford's still getting acclimated there probably. Yes. Same thing with Dallas. I think that defense is very much a bunch of moving parts right now. And so being able to get them early is going to be key. So yeah, I think that the way that the schedule laid out, honestly, I think it's just a really advantageous schedule for the Bucs. They've got to take advantage. Obviously, it's just part of the puzzle, but that's what our job as analysts is, just to tell people whether we see it being a favorable schedule or not. And obviously, the Bucs have had plenty of years in the past where we've been on the other side of this coin and said, "Man, their schedule's brutal," and the NFL screwed them. And this year, it's really it's pretty conducive. And even the breaks, where your bye is in the middle of the year, the Philly game after you got the 10 days, I think, and so. After week one, you're going to have time, so it's set up pretty nicely for them.
Yeah, I agree. If you look at it, you're playing a Dallas team that's still trying to learn their defense, and Dak, how far back is he? How acclimated is he to playing? You're going to that next game against Atlanta. It's the same thing. That defense, new head coach, integrating a new weapon in Kyle Pitts, Stafford. Then you look at the Patriots, integrating new weapons, new pieces on defense, potentially a new quarterback. Who knows how long that takes to switch over? The Dolphins with Tua as well, trying to, what's he going to be like? And then, like I said, that Eagles game really is interesting to me because, like I said, you're going against three solid defensive units in the Rams, Patriots, and Dolphins. And then short week, 4 days rest, you're up there in Philly. And we know how Thursday games are unpredictable. Anything could happen. What are your thoughts on that Thursday? Could that be an early trap game for this team?
Could be. I don't know if traps games are it's hard to know with trap games. To me, everybody in the NFL is good, so it's all competitive. I don't think that there's only a couple games where I say, and Philly's probably one of them where I'm like, man, you need to win that game. Like, not much doubt in my mind you need to win that game. And, the Panthers games probably are that way for me. I'm trying to think of the schedule right now. I think those are the ones that really stand out to me. Good chance the Jets are that way. End of the season, they should finish with 3 wins, And there's a lot of that when you look at the schedule, by the way. If you get past those quarterbacks the first 3 and you're 3-0, you're 4-0 coming out of New England. If you're 4-0 coming out of New England, I really think you feel pretty good, honestly, about where your direction you're headed in. So not that you could go undefeated. I'm not going to go that crazy. I think fans, like I said before last night on the podcast, I think you're welcome to go crazy and talk undefeated if you want. I just don't. I think the parity in the NFL is too strong. It's too hard, especially with the extra game. But I think that the rest of the road, because of the quarterback matchups. 3 your toughest 5 quarterback matchups will be out of the way at that point, and the other one is Matt Ryan later in the year and Josh Allen in Week 14. That it's not that you couldn't lose a game between them, but quarterbacks are a huge part of this when you're analyzing this stuff. And after the first couple weeks. You get through the Patriots game and just the distraction. I just think it's a big distraction. I think it's going to be not a distraction to everybody in the team, but there's so much extra stuff in a game like that. I don't know how you can be human and not feel some of that if you're Brady with the history there. It just feels like there's a lot of that. And so I think that's going to be a difficult one.
Speaking of that, did you see the comments Johnny Dean asked over here? Did you see the comments Tom Brady's dad made, going in there and talking?
I actually just saw that it was actually finally substantiated that it was Brady's dad. I know that there was speculation early in the day. I thought we were going to get this wasn't Brady's dad, calling in. Apparently it was, which that kind of blows my mind because I would think that Brady would be like, dude, never do this, or he hasn't done it, right? Has he ever done anything like that? I never remember hearing it.
He's called in before, but it wasn't right. To like kind of roast but I forget.
I listened to the audio. Honestly, the quotes that you pull from it, the tone of voice could not match up less with the quotes that are pulled. Like he's very complimentary of the Patriots and like, well, anything could happen, but then he's always like, yeah, we're going to be 4-0. It's like, what? He's like kind of on both sides of it. Like,
what does he go? My favorite AFC team, my favorite NFC team. Yeah. Be more excited.
He's like, we're definitely rooting for the Patriots, but we're mostly rooting for our favorite team, the Bucs.
It was great. But when you came on here, I was kind of talking about, because it's rookie mini camp, it's the first time we get to see these guys tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. I'll be there Saturday. You're going to be there this weekend?
I'll be there Saturday. Yep. So I'll see you there.
Yeah, awesome. That'll be a great time to finally meet you in person. So I'll be there Saturday, and we're going to get a chance to look at not only these rookies, which I'm really excited about, but some of these undrafted guys. And I know a guy me and you are both really high on is a guy, Sedarius Hutchinson. Out of South Carolina, played multiple positions on the line. He had 11 starts as a tackle in 2019. Then he kicked in inside, still pretty much held his own. I was shocked that he went undrafted, but you're the draft guy here. So, it says it, look at that. It says it right in your name over there. So tell us a little bit more, a little in-depth more about Sedarius Hutchinson. I know you did your homework on him as soon as he signed.
Yeah, I did. I really like his game. Not going to lie. I would have had probably an early day 3. It is just you have the physical and athletic skill. That's the first thing. You're an undrafted guy. All right, can you physically play at this level? Like that's the first thing I look at if you're an undrafted guy. And that won't be a concern at all. This guy's a weight room warrior. He's got a great frame. He's powerful, strong. He moves people. And he's a good athlete too. He tested well. He can get out in space. He did things at the second level. I think he's going to have issues in pass protection early. Guys getting on his edge, crossing his face. I think he can be a little late with his hands. He can get a little top heavy in things that he does. He's not necessarily super fluid laterally. But, you're talking about a guy in a phone booth that can move people, can contribute in the run game, good technique, great physicality, finishes, plays tough. He's a great leader, high football IQ. You don't get guys like that very often as undrafted free agents. Character, work ethic, leadership, toughness, physicality on the O-line, that typically is enough to get you drafted, honestly. If you're a good athlete with good size, he's all those things. There's no question. You ask anybody, he's all those things. So that was odd to me that he went undrafted. I think the Bucs have to feel really good. And I wish, every year Scott talks to kind of Mike Beal and John Spytek and some of those guys, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say about Hutchinson when he gets to talk to them, because I really think that he has a skill set that I would bet that there were teams after him as an undrafted free agent. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't get picked up, honestly. He was a guy that, in all respect to everybody who chose to opt out and what they, that was their mindset and what they were thinking about in terms of their careers long-term, a ton of respect for that and the toughness that goes into that decision. But Hutchinson was kind of the guy that was like, I can't do it. My guys really need me. They need their leader. And man, I think I appreciate people on both sides of it, but I think NFL coaches will really appreciate that about the way that he kind of described himself in his game and what he means to the guys on his team. So he's got a lot of the intangibles that you want, a lot of the tangibles, some technique things need fixed, and he might have some mobility, lateral mobility limitations long-term, but I think he can be a long-term backup in the league, spot starter type of player. I'm surprised, very surprised he went undrafted.
Yeah. Same here. I thought late 6th round, 7th round guy, maybe even snuck up to the late 5th round draft pick, but he slid and they scooped him up, gave him one of the largest guarantees and largest signing bonuses of all the undrafted free agent guys. Mm-hmm. So they were really excited to get him. I know that for a fact. So, real quick, who else are you really looking forward to seeing in this rookie mini camp? Is it Joe Tryon? I know we talked a lot about him to see if he's corrected, because we haven't seen him in almost 2 years now. He took last year off. Or is it a guy like Kyle Trask?
Definitely Joe Tryon is 1A for me. The technique issues that were the biggest thing that held him back in 2019. And I think he needs to play a role this season. I'm not saying he needs to be a 10-sack guy, but man, you need to see some production from him. I think you need to see some level of impact as a pass rusher from him. That's one thing that the Bucs were really held back by last year. And I know they won the Super Bowl, so that sounds funny to say, but for a lot of the year when Vita Vea was missing, they did not have a third pass rusher, really. They had a bunch of guys, and they had some scheme, and they could blitz a lot, and Devin White certainly made an impact. But they didn't have a down lineman that was a number 3 edge rusher. They couldn't kick Jason Pierre-Paul inside as much as they wanted to, probably, and as much as he's been successful there. Then even when Vea came back, you could see they pushed JPP inside some. He was very productive in that. With the Saints, he had a big pressure in that game. At least. And then the Chiefs game a bunch of times on the inside. I know he had a sack in there. He was just really impactful. So I just think that's a big advantage for this Bucs defense when they can do that, when they have one more threat on the field. If Tryon can be that guy, because really there's nobody else has the upside. No, it's not going to happen with Raheem Nunez-Roches or Steve McClendon or Anthony Nelson. Like, that's not going to happen with any of those guys. No. Those guys kind of are what they are. The depth is what they is. They can all play the run. They're tough. But at the end of the day, Joe Tryon's the guy. If you look pass rush and you need a third guy, he's the guy. So I think that you need Joe Tryon to be able to step up and to be able to handle some real reps. And to do that, technically, he's going to have to be beyond where he was. Footwork is one of the biggest things I'm looking at for him this weekend. Has the footwork changed at all when he's getting off the ball? Where's his first step going? How's his weight distribution? Is he wasting motion when he gets to the tackle? Because if he is, then his speed to power game is not going to be there. And he needs speed to power to be a big part of his game as a rusher. So I'm very much looking at his footwork and seeing how efficient his movements are, because if he's cleaned some of that up, I'm going to get pretty excited about what he can do this year.
And, our next guest on here right after you might be able to help him with some of that stuff, because he's been training some of the top athletes in the draft, Devontae Smith, Christian Barmore. We're going to have Yo Murphy on here, former Buccaneer, here in a minute. But before I let you go and bring him on here, I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to go back to the schedule. I know you've looked at it up and down, probably wrote about it as we all have. Early prediction on a schedule, on a record. What do you got for him?
I think they're going to be 14-3. That would be my guess. I mean, I could definitely be talked into 15-2. You get some injuries, you got some night games. It gets tough. I think that you probably the games. I think the New England one will be tricky. I think the Rams one will be tricky. I think they can get past those teams though. You probably got a Saints one. I could see a Saints one tripping them up. Maybe the Bills game. We'll see. That's going to be a shootout one. But I think 3 would be my guess. I think you're going to see him go 14-3.
Yeah, I like that. I'm hovering between that and 2 losses. I'm still looking at this schedule, really kind of diagnosing it, but I don't think they lose more than 3 games.
There's a lot of pressure on this for me. I was 18-2 across the 20 games last year picking Bucs games, win or loss. So I really need if there's a lot of pressure. So I'm going to take all the time that I can, Josh, until the season. Yep. I'm going to take all the time that I can, and then I'll give you before week 1. That's when I'll lay you down my first actual. I'm not going to tell you win-loss then, but before then, I got to take my time, man. This is a lot of pressure. If I can build this up for another year, I get a nice head start to my tenure as a Bucs reporter. So I need this.
Way too early 53s, way too early schedule record predictions. That's what we're all about here in these coming months with not too much to talk about besides some mini camps and stuff like that. John, why don't you go ahead and promote yourself real quick? Let the people know where they can find you. His Twitter's attached right there, but where else can they find you and your work?
That's it there, and at pewterreport.com. You can find my stuff over there and on Twitter at Ledyard NFL Draft. So, thanks for having me, Josh. I really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. And every Tuesday night, make sure you guys download the Locker Room app if you already haven't. Me and John Ledyard do a great show there, breaking down the latest stories about the week. We'll probably be talking a little bit about the schedule a little bit more next Tuesday and breaking down some other things about this rookie mini camp.
We might have to move it next Tuesday. Penguins play. I'm a Pittsburgh guy. Diehard Penguins fan. The playoffs start Sunday.
That's
Penguins
fine.
Play Tuesday night. We might have to go Wednesday night.
I think Bruins play Tuesday too. So
are you Bruins or Lightning?
I'm Bruins.
I know you're from up there.
I'm Bruins. Yeah, we don't like the Lightning.
So we might have words on a future locker room.
We might. Hey, I lost a bet. I had to wear a Lightning jersey on air last year after that game. It hurt.
I think it's going to be Penguins Bruins in the next round. So we'll see.
Hey, we might have to do a jersey swap.
That'll be fun.
Can't wait to meet you on Saturday for the first time. It's going to be a lot of fun. But again, thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me.
Always. There you guys go. John Ledyard, our first guest down in the books. We're going to bring our next guest in here live from inside the huddle. And this guy has been inside the huddle all offseason long with some of the best prospects that you've heard of, some of the best players around the league that he's been training here. Also, not to mention he's a former player himself, played for the Buccaneers here, was a special teams ace. Let's bring him in. Yo Murphy, but we call him Coach Yo Murphy now.
How you doing, Josh? Good to have you, man. Good to be on.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on, man. Kind of pick your brain a little bit because you've been not only as a player, but now as a performance trainer and trained some of the best guys, in the draft, in the league right now. But I want to talk a little bit before we get that into your playing career. Obviously, you played here in 1999 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Was off to a great start. But unfortunately, especially as a returner, I mean, lights out as a returner. But you got an injury, and then that kind of opened up your mind to what else you could do while you were rehabbing, right?
Yeah, I think when I was playing, all I thought about was strength training and then when I got hurt, I realized the importance of understanding your body, the importance of doing the right things with your body and doing it with the right people. And so, I knew at a pretty young age, I would say football wise in my football career, what I wanted to do when I got done.
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't stop you though, because you went on to not only have a pretty successful football career in other aspects of it. You're the only person in history to play for the NFL, the CFL, the XFL, and NFL Europe. How was that experience going through each one of those leagues? Because they're all very different, present their own unique challenges, and how bouncing from each league. What was the most memorable thing about each one?
It's crazy because it wasn't what I wanted to do. Obviously I wanted to get drafted in the NFL, play, an 8-year career, have a family, retire. But, there's some different things. I knew where I wanted to end up, but the path changed. And, I can't even explain how, important those opportunities and experiences were for me now in dealing with the players that I deal with. I could talk to any player at any level. I had a chance to play in the Super Bowl. I had a chance to go play in NFL Europe. We're busting around Scotland. And it was just, I wanted to continue my dream. I continued to push forward as far as everything else. I trained, I studied, I was still taking classes, I was working. And I wasn't just sitting around saying, praying I'd get a call. It was really about, focused on just growth all around. And it just ended up paying off for me as far as experience. And, playing in all those championship games, no matter what level, it's still a championship game. So you still go out there with the same intent, same mindset, and same butterflies, the same failure, success. So it just really helped mold my life. So, I can't complain at all.
Yeah, I mean, and not only, playing in championships, but winning championships, winning the world championship over in NFL Europe, and not just winning it, but also being named the MVP. Don't sell yourself short. That's a pretty great accomplishment there.
I need to take you around with me, Josh, everywhere. I'm going to take you to dinner parties.
Yeah, I got you, man. I'll pump you up too. But also winning a Grey Cup, winning a Grey Cup in Canada. Obviously, you're in the Super Bowl, played in the Super Bowl against the vaunted Tom Brady and Patriots with the Rams. Yeah. But we got a question here from Johnny Dean about the CFL. How is that big ass field of the CFL compared to the NFL? That had to be an adjustment.
Yeah, and I played receiver, so it's kind of weird too, because I tell people you don't notice it as much because there's also another man out there, and so when you first get out there and you walk it, it's huge. If you catch an in cut and you have the old other side of the field to run to, it's huge. But when you line up and there's 12 guys instead of 11, it kind of makes it the same proportions. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with more players, bigger field. It's got to be definitely an adjustment period for sure. Especially, and the XFL too had its own set of rules as well, which I'm sure had to be an adjustment period as well. Obviously, NFL is the pinnacle, but out of all those experiences, which one is your fondest? Is it winning the MVP in the World Bowl? Sorry, I was going to say World Cup. I knew that was wrong. The World Bowl, was it winning in the Grey Cup? Was it just being able to play in the Super Bowl and the biggest stage in the NFL? Which one of those things was like your greatest memory to look back up?
I think the biggest thing was hold on, my bad.
No worries.
Josh, you there? Yeah.
I'm here.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, was the journey, to the Super Bowl with my teammates when I was with the Rams. Losing, don't get me wrong, was hard. But just going through that and having a championship team and having guys, like a Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, that, were just great teammates, like guys that, were superstars, Hall of Famers, that really were about the team. That was special to me. Winning the game in the CFL, in the World Bowl, those days were great. That evening was great. Everything was great in that moment. But just, that whole, stretch to get there to that point, the Super Bowl it was just amazing. We, everybody fought together. We cheered each other on. We had good organic competition, but we supported each other, and it was just special. It was just a true team effort. We lost the game. Tom Brady started, doing what Tom Brady does. A lot of people have lost to him, but going through that process to get there, was special.
Yeah, and we've got a comment over here. My wife, she says, a true Buccaneer, overcoming obstacles and persevering. And how do you take those lessons that you had to go through and persevering and putting your all in, and as you said, not sitting around waiting for the call, making sure you're ready, working out, to these younger guys who are entering the league, and some of them, you've trained, obviously number 12 or what was it, 11 overall pick, Devontae Smith. But you've also trained some of these other guys who had really, borderline shots at being drafted and end up signing as undrafted free agents, and guys in the middle like an Anthony Schwartz. How have you used your experiences to kind of motivate them and show them, this is, what you need to do, and this is what you need to be, cognizant of to have a long career and to just, keep that positivity throughout it?
I think you just said it is, there's so many different routes to get there, but, there's only one path I feel for success in the NFL, and that's being a pro, being accountable, understanding what you need to do to be prepared for every day, because you compete every single day. You may not think you are, you may think you're at practice, but, when coaches watch video, when you're lining up against somebody, that competition is for your, spot, whether it's getting cut or whether it's how many snaps I get on Sunday. And so, I just went about everything that way. And I relay that to the guys, whether it's, Smitty or it's Trey Dukes, one of our undrafted guys. Like, you have to approach it the same way. I mean, we hear every day about guys, being the best thing going for 6, 8, 12, 16 weeks and then disappearing. You can't relax. If it's something you want to do and it's something that you're built to do, you just, every day you have to go out there, be prepared, be accountable, and be ready.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's, absolutely great advice that you give these young men who are starting their career. But it's not just young men, you also, you train these, young rookies and young men to come into the league and prepare them. But you're also out here training seasoned veterans. I know you had Ali Marpet out there. I believe Sutton, the cornerback from the Pittsburgh Steelers, has been training with you. Benning Potawa'e, Vita Vea, some Buccaneers. So what's the difference between training an upcoming rookie and preparing him for not only the combine but the draft and getting him ready to training a guy who's already in the league, a guy who's already has a dietitian and a training regimen that the team gives him? And how do you supplement those things with a veteran compared to like a rookie?
Well, I think with the rookies, they really don't, there's so much unknown for them. And so we basically do what you just said. We build a team around them, whether it's for just those 10 weeks that they're with us combine training, or Smitty just left here to go back to his team. Ben Skowronek, Christian Barmore. A lot of these guys have stayed with us to have a chance to be with these vets, have a chance to understand what it's like we were talking about, being accountable, being a pro. So we just we build an infrastructure around them, something that, it's up to them whether they take it or not. But, the first time the guys come in, I tell them, I said, look, fellas, combine is a test that we know all the answers to. It's up to you guys if you want to take it. These guys are so talented. If they just say, look, I'm going to buy into this process, I'm going to do that, what their parents and what God has done is going to get them there. What we try to do is make sure they understand how to stay there. With the vets, it's about doing what they need. We do a full assessment. We do the biomechanics, we do, muscle firing, we do strength, performance. We do that assessment, and we go to an Ali Marpet, Vita Vea, Pat O'Connor, and we say, hey, fellas, here's what we see your strengths, weaknesses are, your asymmetries. Here's what we're going to program and do. And the guys that I have, and this has nothing to do with me, but they're locked in, and what they want you to do is put it in front of them, what they need to do, and they're going to handle it. Guys don't stay in the league. Guys aren't on championship teams for long if they're not wired like that. And I have guys from all teams, like you said, it's impressive. Logan Ryan, brought down 10 of the DBs from the Giants, flew them down, put them up, taking care of them, have them training with me because he said he wants to build that unity. He wants to win. He understands. He was with Tom Brady and won 2 Super Bowls, so guys that have been there, you just need to, it's a collaboration, I say. We work together. There's some things that I'm going to say that I feel you need to do. Maybe a different way that we go around doing it, but we're going to get there.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have the knowledge, you have the track record, looking at some of these guys you sent to the league and some of the guys you've trained. So, I mean, and who doesn't want to come to Tampa and work out,
That's it.
I mean, I stopped by Skyview about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was talking to Ali, and he goes, it's nice right now, but once Yo gets us going out there in a couple of weeks, it's going to be hot as heck out there.
Yeah.
So melting out there. We've got a couple of questions, and I'll get you out of here. First one comes from Ginger Brooks. He goes, who's one of the smartest football players you've ever trained, X's and O's wise?
Man, that's a tough one. I would say, right now, who I have in the house, I'm not going to go back too far, but in the house is Nelson Aguilar, Logan Ryan, Ali Marpet. Those guys are really locked into everything we're doing. They're locked into, before Nelson left, he was watching videos. He was going to try to watch every play first that he caught a pass in. Then he was going to watch every play that a ball was thrown, then try to watch every play he was in the game. After he watched the play, then he wanted to go make sure that if there was a mistake that he went through it on the field. Wow. Logan Ryan, the way that he understands defenses and can dissect offenses, it's crazy. And it's just from film study and being around some of the smartest coaches in the league, being with a Bill Belichick. And then Ali just wants to know everything, and so he's learned so much about strength training because he wants to know. He knows so much about the offensive line because it's his business, so I, going back through all the years that I've been doing this, it's usually the guys that just study film that they understand that's what they need to do. Those are the guys that are really, really locked into the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at these guys, that especially with taste success elsewhere, or where their teams are. With Ali last year, I just watched an interview on him, and he's doing everything he can to get better. And you have to really applaud that from these guys who, like you said, Nelson Aguilar. I'm from New England, so I'm a Patriots fan, so I love hearing that because the biggest he had a heck of a year last year, but I mean, you still go back to that firefighter video from Philly, and you're like, oh man, hopefully he can turn it around, and I have faith that he can. And hearing that just makes me ecstatic. We got one more question, then we'll get you out of here. We got North Sports Dynasty. Which organization would be better set for a CFL XFL merger? Your past BC Lions or Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Man, that's a tough one. I heard a little bit about the merger. I don't know a lot about it. One thing I know, what I would say is, when I played in both places, the city in BC, the Vancouver, was amazing. One of the best cities I've ever lived in, been to. Beautiful city, amazing city. The fans in Saskatchewan, ridiculous. Like, I'll never forget, we came out in one game, and it was, I can't remember, but they said the wind chill was below zero. I don't know what the actual temperature was. We came out, and there was like 15 people in a hot tub. And I didn't even want to, I didn't even want to touch the ground. It was so cold. But they were passionate. I mean, every single game you walked out of there, it was sold out. People were packed, screaming for you, knew your whole history. And so I loved playing there. And I don't want to disrespect Saskatchewan, but I loved living in Vancouver. So, I got a little bit of both, I guess.
Hey, that's a nice political answer. We're not going to fault you for that. I just want to give you a second to go ahead and promote yourself. Where can people find you? I know you have a new location opening up, or already opened up in the Wiregrass Ranch right here up in Wesley Chapel, New Tampa, where I'm up here in Lutz, right next to the outlet,
Okay.
so close to me. Have to pop in on you because I know you do a little bit of I know mostly athletes, but you do some regular Joes like me if you want to really break me down. But go ahead and give these. I could use it, man. I might just come out to the Skyway, not Skyview. I got judged on just copy what the guys are doing out there to get myself in shape. I always said, if I'm going to get myself really in shape, the gym is not for me. But if you put me through some football drills, bring me back to high school days, like that's how I'm going to be motivated and want to work out and have fun with it. And I've always said, I should open a gym or some sort of facility like that for like regular guys who want to do basketball workouts or do football workouts or baseball workouts, because it's more, you're having fun doing it, and maybe you have aspirations of playing a flag or a local contact league, but that's how I would work out best. But I'm going off on a tangent here. I need to work.
I like it.
Go ahead and promote yourself. Where can they find you on your socials? Where they can find you, contact you via your website, and just give them a little rundown about that.
Yeah. So on the website is yomurphyperformance.com. Social media is at yomurph. We're up in Wiregrass now, Wiregrass Sports Ranch. We have a facility up there, and then we're actually opening up our new facility. Should be open, I would say, the first of the fall, late summer, and that'll be right around the airport area, right in that area. And we'll give out more information as soon as we get everything locked in. And then like you said, we have combine camps for adults. We call them our corporate athletes. We have a lot of things that we do like that, because I agree with you, Josh. I think, when you train, it should be fun. Like, even these guys out there now, he's talking about, we're going to get out there and get beat up. But when you leave, training is about, elevating. Training's about bettering yourself. Training's about growth. Some days when you get beat down, but, there's also a lot of days when, not a lot, but every day we want to walk out of there better. So, however that shakes out, I agree with you. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, and one of my partners on here at Bucs Report would love to see you make me puke. So I might take you up on that, look into it, and definitely do that. But I want to thank you for your time coming on here. Much appreciated. Thank you for your contributions. Not only to the Bucs history, but also to football history. Being the only player to ever play in all four leagues and win 2 out of 3 championships in those leagues. So thank you so much. Guys, make sure you guys are following him on the socials. He's got awesome stuff going on there, players doing workouts, and you can kind of see where they're at. But again, thank you for your time on here, and hope to have you on soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right, you too. See you.
There we go. We got Coach Yo. Now we're going to go right to our one of our other guys here, our head writer here at Bucs Report. We'll bring in Evan Winter. Evan, my man, sorry to keep you hanging in the lobby for a second, but hey, when Coach Yo's got to go, he's got to go, and he was giving out some great information. But let's jump right in here with no hesitation. Schedule release came out, and I know you've written a couple things on there, a couple pieces of the most exciting games to look forward to. So why don't you kind of break some of that stuff down? What are your top 5 games that you're looking at with this new schedule that came out yesterday?
What's up, Josh? Thanks for having me on. Man, easily the first 5 game or the top 5 games for this schedule. I mean, you're looking at New Orleans, you're looking at Los Angeles, you're looking at Dallas, and then you're looking at Buffalo and, of course, New England. Those 5 to me are the top. If you're looking at like a tough stretch of this schedule, overall, I think this schedule is decent in terms. You never want to say anything is easy in the NFL, but I think this schedule is manageable. Let's just put it that way. Except for this week 3 to week 8 stretch, you've got 4 road games in those 6 games at LA, then at New England. So you're going to LA, back to Tampa, then up to New England, Miami, then at Philly, Chicago, and then at New Orleans. Then you get your bye week. So that stretch right there, to me, is going to have rather large implications on Tampa Bay's playoff hunt, or for Tampa Bay's playoff hunt, because also you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4 of those 6 opponents are NFC. So if I'm paying attention to that part of the schedule, and then also those 5 games, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and our we have our Constance. She actually asks, and I'm wondering you too, what do you think about that Thursday opener?
I like it. I mean, obviously we would rather see the Bills in terms of football being played on the field. That would be a way more enticing matchup. You've got 2 Super Bowl contenders, 2 teams that are favored to win the Super Bowl, 2 of the top 3 teams. But at the same time, Dallas could be a fun game. Tampa Bay is obviously a 6.5-point favorite opening up. But if Dak is healthy, if he's playing like he was playing last year, we don't know what this defense is going to look like with Dan Quinn. It was really bad last year under Mike Nolan. So can Dan Quinn turn things around in just one offseason? Obviously, that's tough to do, so that remains to be seen. But overall, Dallas could surprise some people. I'm interested to see what that offense does. The one thing, though, that's awesome, and I think this was brought up in our Bucs Report chat, is Dallas loves to run the ball. Ezekiel Elliott, big deal. The Bucs obviously can stop the run. So everything lines up pretty well for that Thursday night game in terms of a Bucs win, but obviously we'll have to see. Regardless, they're raising the banners. It's going to be hyped in Raymond James Stadium. Hopefully I'll be there, but I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the opening game against the Cowboys, and you look at it like on Game Time and some of these things, the tickets are already up there, $398 just for a nosebleed ticket. So, everyone's excited to see this team open up against America's team, if you're Tom Brady. But guys, we are here. It's the Audible. We're here with Evan Winter. We are live on Locker Room, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. If you're on Locker Room, feel free to smash that speaker request button. Come up here, talk to me and Evan. We're going to bring in the prodigy here in a minute. He's going to talk a little NFL stuff. Well, we also talk some Bucs. Feel free to call in the show. The number's right there, 1-833-DEM-BUCS, 1-833-336-2827. Feel free to call on in. Drop your comments down here. I'll even drop the link if you guys want to come on live and come on and talk to us. Get your questions out. Schedule release is out. Rookie minicamp is here. So if you guys want to come on and talk about it with us, feel free. But Evan, I just want to talk about that too. Rookie minicamp is here, and I'll be there Saturday. But what are you most looking forward to hearing and seeing at this rookie minicamp? Is it Kyle Trask throwing the ball? Is it Joe Tryon after not seeing him for a year, taking that year off? Is it some of these undrafted free agents? Who are you most looking forward to see and hear about from this training from this rookie minicamp?
I'm honestly just happy to hear any kind of new developments about football and this team. So I'll be welcoming any news. I don't know how much we're actually going to get considering the media is so limited during these camps and stuff. Regardless, I'm interested to see what Sedarius Hutcherson does, see what kind of impact he has in these early weeks. Greg Ammon said earlier on Twitter that I believe, if I might be misquoting, but I'm paraphrasing here, pretty much all the undrafted free agents are going to be showing up. Obviously, you want to hear Joe Tryon's name a few times, wowing some people and all that good stuff. But I'm more interested in the undrafted free agents. We know what the starters, what the main draft class is going to be doing. So I would like to hear some stuff about the undrafted free agents mostly.
Yeah, and that's what me and John talked about. Is Sedarius Hutchinson in particularly? We really think that this is a guy, and I know your thoughts on him too. Is how did he go undrafted? And I know he got the most money out of any of the undrafted free agent linemen, and one of the most guaranteed monies out of all undrafted free agents. Real quick, we got a question for you. Then we'll bring in Jacob, and he'll run down some of this NFL. We'll talk about that, but. Johnny Dean says, is Evan going to write something up on Aaron Rodgers using the TB12 method so he can play as long as Brady? Do we think he's going to play as long as Brady? And that will segue right into our next guest here as well. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if he keeps winning MVPs at this age, he's going to play as long as he wants. If that correlates or causates with the TB12 diet, I don't know, but it would make sense. And at this point, who doesn't want to copy Tom Brady? I mean, he's obviously proved over the last year that he is the best in the world and the best of all time when it comes to playing quarterback in the NFL.
And we've seen you can still get a little tipsy on avocado tequila. So
just a little, though. Just a little.
With that being said, let's jump into our halftime segment. We're going to keep Evan in here, but we're going to add Jacob Charnow, the prodigy of Hard Count Football podcast. Let's bring him in here. And on that subject, what are you hearing on the Aaron Rodgers saga now? Is there something new going on? What are we hearing about that?
I think it's so far a lot of the same thing. Sorry, I'm not in my normal setup. I had some technical issues with my stuff, but Josh, I see you got the Rode mic then, and I'm sure I'm guessing the order came and it sounds good. Everything sounds amazing. There it is. But yeah, the Aaron Rodgers saga is all this drama is what I'm hearing. It sounds like a lot of the same stuff as has been going on, but it's a constant thing. It feels like every year for the last 4 or 5 seasons, Aaron Rodgers has had a problem with the Packers, and this is the real time that it feels like it might come to fruition, right? With all these problems with Devontae Adams coming out saying, well, if he leaves, I have to think about it, and then him not accepting this long-term offer yet. He's clearly unhappy, whether or not Schefter reported it on draft day, whether or not he reported it a year before draft day. Aaron Rodgers is unhappy in Green Bay. I still think that he plays one more year there and then he gets out finally. But, what do you guys think? Because this is definitely something that is just going to get more and more dramatic and crazier as the offseason continues.
Evan?
I mean, you don't want to compare it to Deshaun Watson because obviously it's a completely different context, way more serious issue going on with Deshaun Watson. But in terms of how can these guys still play for these teams? I mean, I think you got to ask that question. At this point, I think both guys have crossed the point of no return. And yeah, I could totally see Rodgers playing one more year just because all this feels really rushed all of a sudden. And it's really hard to get these types of deals done in the NFL, these types of trades. Obviously, they're not going to cut him. They're going to trade him. So, but at the same time, it's Aaron freaking Rodgers, Hall of Fame quarterback. There are plenty of teams, I'm sure, who are going to bend over backwards in order to get a deal done. But it just feels like the point of no return at this point. If he does play one more year in Green Bay, I will not be surprised. Just like Jacob said, however, I think he's going to be gone this year. And here's the reason why is because this dude's made enough money, obviously, in his career. He's obviously got the State Farm money. That stuff's going to keep rolling in. He can afford to just sit out and reimburse the Packers whatever he owes them for this year. I think his base salary is like $14.7 or something like that. And then everything else has already been paid out. So, I mean, he could easily reimburse the Packers if he really, really wanted to make a statement and not play this year. So at the end of the day, I think he's gone, man.
Yeah, doesn't this feel a little similar though to the Russell Wilson situation? Just a little bit, right? Like how quickly everything happened and how we know that he has a reason to be unhappy. We know that he is unhappy there, but for everything to happen so quickly, it feels like it just feels a little off. It feels like it's going to kind of die down just as fast as the Russell Wilson stuff did. And it's just going to be another story of the offseason. And we see it every single year. But I think Rodgers does end up staying in Green Bay for at least one more year if he doesn't take a longer offer. If they don't I honestly think that he has a problem with management. I really do. I don't think he has a problem with LaFleur. I think he has a problem with Brian Gutekunst, and that's and their general manager. And it's not. You guys have to remember, the Packers had the number 1 offense in the league last year, with Aaron Rodgers complaining about the amount of weapons he had, right? And then however many targets, I'm sure 3/4 of those targets were to Devontae Adams. I think he had the most targets in the league last year, if I remember correctly. And then they draft defense. For the Packers to be drafting defense is helping Aaron Rodgers. And as much as Packers fans want to admit it, as much as the media doesn't want to admit it, it is. Drafting Eric Stokes, drafting a corner, drafting defensive help, it helps Aaron Rodgers. The Packers didn't lose that NFC Championship game to the Bucs because of that offense. They lost it because Kevin King got burned however many times by Scotty Miller and all these Bucs receivers, and they ran the ball all over him. That's what happened. And Packers, it's not even Packers fans. I've talked to Packers fans and they realize, but it's more the media. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is as unhappy as they portray him to be. But the media needs to understand that the Packers drafting defense helps Aaron Rodgers more than drafting him a wide receiver in the first round. Because now you've got a guy like Amari Rodgers in the second or third, and all of a sudden he becomes a number 2 to Devontae Adams and all these second and third round receivers with high upside that Aaron Rodgers can then elevate. There's only so many quarterbacks that can elevate receivers. Patrick Mahomes does it. Deshaun Watson does it. Aaron Rodgers does it. And I think Russell Wilson does it. There's only so many guys that can do it. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to elevate Amari Rodgers. I think we're going to see him as a wide receiver 2 to this team. If not next year, then the latest will be the year after that. It's me, guys. What's up, everybody? But along with going with that, let's move on a little bit to some other stuff around the NFL, guys. The schedule came out this week. This schedule came out this week. We got our schedule releases. The Bucs, man, they have some fun matchups. They got Week 4. I think that's the most notable one. Week 4 against the Jaguars. I think that is that's not Week 4 against the Jaguars. Week 4 against the Patriots. Tom Brady's return to Foxborough. I was thinking about the Jets-Jaguars game a little bit. Sorry. But they head to Foxborough. Do we think, I talked about it a little bit last night on Harry the Greek show on the over-under. In the comments, go ahead, sound off. Do we think that Tom Brady's going to get booed at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough? I don't know. I don't think Johnny Dean and Harry, they changed my mind yesterday. I thought he was going to. Now I think he won't. But listen, everyone's got a different opinion there. There's certainly a chance Tom Brady comes in and thanks, Johnny. And there's certainly a chance Tom Brady comes in and gets booed because he left. Listen, Patriot fans don't like when people leave them. They don't. Just as much as Philly fans don't like it. No fans like it. It feels, I promise you, the Seahawks, whenever they come back to MetLife Stadium, Jamal Adams going to get booed for the way he went out. And I understand it's different. It's different. But it is what it is. There's a ton of games that we have to talk about. The schedule's officially out here. A few of my most notable ones, especially as a Jets fan. I'm looking forward to week 16 against the Jaguars. We get to see Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick, for Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick. And then we get to see the week after, guys, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers come to my home turf in MetLife Stadium week 17 to play my Jets. I'm looking forward to that, guys. Josh, what do you think about that game?
Yeah, I mean, not talking to myself, but NFL Network, when the schedule released, they had Levante David, and they asked him, when you get the schedule, what do you look for? And one of the things he said was the cold weather games, and he noticed that Jets game right away. I mean, I think they've shown that. Yeah, I mean, I think they've shown that it's not a big deal for them with the Green Bay Packers game. They can handle some cold weather, but still, I mean, being down here in Tampa just over 2 years, that first year in, it hit 60 degrees, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of chilly, and like back home up in New England, it hit 60 degrees, and I'm in a tank top and shorts, and I'm like, who wants to go to the beach for some beach pizza and hang out, So it's like it's completely different night and day, and once you're adjusted to this, it's definitely takes a second. But guys, real quick, if you guys want to join in, go ahead and scan that QR code right there. That'll bring you right to my phone number right here, 1-833-DEM-BUCKS, 833-336-2827. Join the conversation. You guys can come right on here through the phone lines. Feel free to do so. Feel free to hop on here in the comments.
That's pretty nice, Josh. That's pretty nice.
Multiple ways to communicate here, so feel free. But circling back to the Buccaneers a little bit too, we got the schedule release. We got the rookie mini camp. But what we're really waiting to hear about is, Tom Brady. We heard from his dad. We heard from his dad today with those comments about how they're going to be 4-0 after they leave New England. What are your thoughts on those? And what do you think Tom said to his dad afterwards? It was like, Dad, you can't do that. Or what do you guys, have you guys heard those comments yet?
Tom Brady's dad can say whatever he wants. He made Tom Brady. That is his child. Like his son has 7 Super Bowl rings. 7 Super Bowl rings. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? And okay, 4-0 leaving New England. Well, man, I have a weird feeling like you guys are going to lose away to the Rams in week 3. I just think that's I don't know. I really like the Rams heading into this year. I know you guys don't like Sean McVay because he is what it is. But I'm a big Stafford guy. Stafford's getting this defense. I think that no one's going to really know how to play this team for the first couple weeks of the season. And I think the Bucs might run into some trouble with the Rams. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. Josh, some other games, Evan, too. You guys let me know what you think about them that I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward November 28th, week 12, to the Colts-Bucs game. I think that'll be a fun one. 2 heavyweight defenses. And then I also look forward to the Bills game in week 14. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun. Those are 2 teams that's a matchup that we could definitely see in the Super Bowl this year, no?
Oh, 100%. The Bills, I mean, they're hot. They're third best odds to win the Super Bowl. Easily could be a Super Bowl 56 preview. And I mean, Josh Allen versus Tom Brady, Bills Mafia 32-3 against them all time. So I'm excited for that one. And plus at that point, if everything goes to plan, we're going to know exactly what these teams are doing. We're going to know who they are. They're going to be established. It's not going to be some week 3 battle where they're still figuring their footing out, for lack of a better phrase. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait, man. I'm actually excited for the Philly game. Going back up to Philly, it's been a while since we've been there. I think Jameis Winston's 5 passing touchdown game was the last time they went up there, if I'm not mistaken. And it's always good to beat up on the Eagles, so hopefully that happens again this year. And the way things are set up, they should. So
that's a game that scares me, though. I mean, if you look at it, you have the first 2 weeks, right, against the Cowboys and the Falcons, but then you travel to LA, play the Rams, top defense. You travel up to New England, play the Pats, top defense. You're home and you play the Dolphins, top defense. And then 4 days later, you get on a plane, fly up to Philadelphia for a Thursday night game, and we know about those Thursday night games after getting banged up on by some of the top defenses. Could that be a trap game potentially?
The short schedule definitely sucks, but I have absolutely zero faith in Nick Sirianni right now. And he comes from the Colts, line of coaches, so he's going to want to run the ball. Jalen Hurts is going to want to run the ball. Tampa Bay shuts down the run. Philly has no receivers. Now, granted, Philly's defensive line could cause some issues, but they don't have any secondary. So it could possibly be a trap game, but I'm not putting money on that.
I'm gonna have to. You know what, Josh? I'll tell you this right now. You guys are fine against the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be bad next. The Eagles are going to be bad next year. I have no faith in Nick Sirianni either, Evan. That he's not even there. He wasn't. I don't even see him as their coach because he wasn't their first guy. He wasn't their second guy. I don't even think he was their third or fourth guy. It felt like they settled on a coach late because they fired Doug Peterson way too late into the process, and then now they got all screwed up. They don't know if they have their quarterback. They don't know what Devontae Smith is going to be, even if he's great. How many teams have a great wide receiver and a solid quarterback, but a terrible defense and a terrible offensive line? I'll give you one example: the Detroit Lions for the last 5 years. I'm telling you. But
I think you're right, though. I think they went in with Sirianni, like, okay, we're gonna have.
They didn't get Salah. He gave them
Sometimes it works out. I mean, Frank Reich obviously wasn't the Colts' first choice, but that's more the exception than the rule. Yeah, for sure.
I thought they were bringing him in to work with Carson Wentz, and then they're like, no, we're going to move Carson Wentz now. And just total dysfunction across the board. Jacob, do you have anything else for us around the league that's been going on? Any signings, anything like that?
I got a few stuff. First, who do you think? This is more of a personal question for here on Bucs Report. Hypothetically, the Bucs come out and get shocked week 1. Right, against the Cowboys, and something happens and the Bucs lose. Who do you guys think? We'll go around the horn here. Is the first person, we'll say miscreant, to come on here and sound off about the Buccaneers?
Is Rick Hughes? No. I mean, maybe
It's Johnny. The correct answer is Johnny Dean.
It's probably Johnny. It is probably Johnny Dean. I was not trying to say that,
but yeah, around the league we got some stuff going on. Deshawn Hamilton of the Broncos, I think either he got cut or he's looking to get traded. He hasn't been officially waived. The door is still open for the trade according to NFL.com. Also, the Chiefs traded for a corner, Mike Hughes from the Vikings. He's pretty solid, right? I mean, he's not a huge name, but he's a solid corner in a lot of formations, right?
I mean, they need help on that defense, and I mean, they haven't really addressed it. I don't know if he's an upgrade over Brashad Breeland. I think perhaps, but I mean, does that really help you? Because Brashad Breeland wasn't that good anyway.
I think he's had a lot of injury issues, mainly because he's the kid. He's
2018.
I think, and because he was out of TCU. I know they drafted Jeff Gladney, but never mind. He was out of Central Florida. But I think he's had a lot of injury issues. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Just 24 games in 3 years. He played 6 his rookie year, 14 in 2019, and then just 4 last year. So, I mean, the dude's got talent. Obviously, he was a first-round pick. So, if he can stay healthy, who knows? But obviously, we'll see.
Absolutely. Yep, I completely agree with you guys. Also, something interesting that I want to get your thoughts on. I don't know how much – I think I've talked about it with everybody, but Justin Fields, guys. Like, it's not only Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Like, when do these guys start? Because I think Cam Newton's the week 1 starter for the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I think that Mac Jones comes in. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think Mac Jones plays next year. But I also think that Justin Fields is going to – I think the Bears have no clue what they're doing because, yeah, they had a pretty good draft, but they're still doing a lot of Bears-like things when you look at their signings and stuff like that. So I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a Tua-like situation where Justin Fields comes in like week 6 for no reason because they're going to be 4-2, and it's going to be, say it like last year, Mitch Trubisky comes out, he's 4-1, and then he's on a short leash, and they pull him for Nick Foles, and then they're awful the rest of the year. But they put in Justin Fields, and then he is not ready for the defenses in the NFC North, for the teams in the for some of the competition, for the Bucs in what is it, week 7. There's a chance that Justin Fields' first game is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what we're going to hear next year is the same thing we heard about the Dolphins this year. It's, oh boy, the Bears might need to draft a quarterback again because I don't know, and I'm a believer in Justin Fields. I'm a huge Justin Fields guy. But, man, it's hard to be in that Bears offense, and he's such a similar player to Trubisky that the
problem is when you have a GM and a head coach who are in a lame duck year. We've been told that you need this year to save your career. Yes. We're going to see Justin Fields way sooner than I think that he's going to be ready to.
And going off
week 1.
Well, and going off what Josh said, that's exactly what I see. Like the stars are aligning perfectly for Chicago to start off. If you look at their schedule, LA Rams, the Bengals, the Browns, that's possibly 1-2. Then you get the Lions 2-2, Raiders, let's say 3-2, then Packers, Bucs 3-4, then 49ers, let's say they're healthy 3-5, Pittsburgh Steelers 3-6. I mean, they have a great chance to start off 3-6 going into their bye week. And if that happens, I see Justin Fields coming in all day because, like Josh was just saying, Nagy and Ryan Pace, I believe that's their GM. I mean, they're both in a year where they've got to get something figured out, and it just feels like the stars are aligning for that.
No, there's no choice.
Sure. Harry Berg in the comments, Harry the Greek in the comments. He heard me say Justin Fields 3 times, and he heard me say Mitch Trubisky. He says, "Bite your tongue, bite your tongue."
And all this with all due respect to Andy Dalton QB1 with all this talk, by the way.
Red Rocket himself.
And for Mac Jones, I think that he starts at some point. Depends on Cam Newton. Obviously, we know what he can do as a runner. Can he improve as a passer? Was it really his shoulder injury? Was it not knowing the offense? Was it COVID that affected him? I'm not sure. You see what Bill Belichick has done in the draft with quarterbacks in the past, and then he finally gets a guy who's that kind of dual threat, and it didn't look like it worked out too well. So it looks like they're going to go back to the Tom Brady-esque pocket passer.
Yes.
That has worked for them. But real quick, I got 2 real quick things around the NFL. 2 tackles signed. Indianapolis Colts signed Eric Fisher.
Yes.
And the Washington football team signed Charles Leno, formerly of the Bears. Also, I believe there was a tackle signed earlier as well by the Broncos. I'm trying to
I believe so. There was
Bobby Massey signed with the Broncos.
Bobby Massey
deal to replace the injured Juwan James, who we talked about last week. But with that being said, guys, I gotta get to our next guest. I appreciate you both for coming on here. Jacob of the Hard Count Football Podcast. Give it real quick and let them know where they can find you. And go ahead and promote yourself, my man.
Yep, absolutely, guys. Check me out, the Hard Count Football Podcast live Tuesday nights on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel, and of course, right here on Bucs Report. You guys are always more than welcome to join me. I'd love to have you on. I love talking football with you guys. Come follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charno and Instagram at Hard Count Football. Josh, I always love doing the halftime show for you guys. Evan, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. A lot of knowledge to go around in this circle right now. I'm sure we'll do it again very, very soon.
Yes, sir, for sure. Thank you so much, Jacob. Great to have you on here. Evan, go ahead, promote yourself. Where can they find you on Twitter? Where can they find you with all your great content you've been pumping out?
You find me on Twitter at Evan_winner. It's the little, well, I always suck at doing that. There we go. I could never be a meteorologist, a weather person, ever pro. But yeah, find me right there at Evan_winner. BucsReport.com. And that's where they can also find your excellent content as well. So that's right.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Evan Winter, everybody, make sure you follow him on Twitter. Make sure you follow his work also on BucsReport.com, churning out articles left and right. Guy's been a beast. He's been a breath of fresh air to have on here. Taught me a bunch already. I feel like I've improved as a writer since he's been here, and always great to bounce ideas off him. Thank you for coming on. Go enjoy your food now.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thanks for having me, Josh. Take care.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. With that, guys, the guests don't stop. I want to thank everyone for being a part of this. We are live here on the Audible Bucs Report with your host, Joshua Cole Allen. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Locker Room. My Locker Room people, if you guys want to come on up here, feel free to smash that speaker request button. If you're not on Locker Room, I implore you guys to get on Locker Room. Changing the way we talk sports, audio-based platform where you can pretty much, talk to people all around the world. We start watch parties. They do draft. It's not just sports. It's also different things. They talk about music. We did a Marvel character draft the other night. They did a movie draft, actor draft. There's a lot of things going on. These little versus battles things where you pick an artist, I pick an artist, the crowd picks who's the winner. It's a lot of fun. With that being said, we're going to get to our next guest. He is Kenny Morales, a good friend of the show. Had him on a lot last year of Spectrum Bay News 9 Sports. Let's bring him in here. Kenny, how we doing, my man? Long time no talk.
Hey, it's been a minute, man. How you been?
I've been good, man. Just, grinding. Great season that this Buccaneers team has had. Had some up and downs, hiccups in the regular season. Then the bye week kicked in, perfect time, and they turned it on, and they didn't stop until they won that Super Bowl. So let's talk about that first off.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were your thoughts on that? Once they came out of the bye week into the playoffs and on their way to the Super Bowl, what were your thoughts? I mean, we were just like, is this going to happen in his first year?
I'll be honest. I wasn't sure. I thought they would make a deep playoff run with Brady there. I just didn't think that they were going to win it, in his first year in Tampa Bay. But I mean, what am I doing? Not trusting in the GOAT, right? The guy's already won 6 Super Bowl rings. What in the world is going to stop him from winning a 7th? No, I think they did a great job. I mean, look, I think we all kind of knew it going into the season that there were going to be some highs and some lows, right? Or especially early on, because there was no offseason for these guys. There was no time to develop chemistry, no training camp, nothing like that. And then once, you mentioned that bye week, once that hit, and then they kind of got into more of a routine and they kind of got comfortable with each other, that's where we started to see that offense really start to click, I thought. And I mean, they just looked great, obviously, throughout the rest of that way. And then, but obviously, I think that the defense is what really carried them there towards the end. I mean, that defense was phenomenal, especially in that Super Bowl. I mean, that was Devin White, JPP, Shaq Barrett, those boys, even the Gravediggers. I mean, they were awesome as well. Just from top to bottom, that defense. Todd Bowles, tip of the cap to him as well. Perfect game plan to just attack, and just blitz as much as possible on Mahomes, knowing that those guys on the offensive line were hurt. I mean, they were down, I believe, 2 starters and maybe another guy or 2. I mean, they had some dudes in there that were, not exactly all pro at the tackle positions and inside as well. So impressive, man. I was impressed, and I'm happy for the Bucs, and I'm happy for Buccaneers fans. I watched the game after doing a bunch of pregame coverage. I watched it at Ferg's in downtown St. Pete, and there was a bunch of Bucs fans there. And I was happy for him, man. Good to see him. I know it's been a rough couple of years for them. So to be able to enjoy another Lombardi trophy was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you look at that, you talk about the game plan to, get after the quarterback, but not only that, just take away their two top weapons in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and said, here, beat us with the rushing game, beat us with Byron Pringle, beat us with Sammy Watkins, beat us with DeMarcus Robinson, and they just couldn't do it. And for, Mahomes, he played lights out, and he tried his best to go out there and
he did. He really did. I mean, there was one play, I don't know if you remember it, but I think they cut to Bucs players on the sideline. He almost got tackled or sacked like 2 different times, and he still avoided the sacks. And as he's falling down into the and for some reason
you're a little frozen there.
See.
Hold on one second. Hey, Kenny, still there? Oh, we may have lost. Oh, okay. There we go. He's back. Let's see if we can get him back here. There we go. We got you. You're frozen for a minute. He's still frozen. Technical difficulties are a wonderful part of the show. We'll try to see if we can get him back. I see him on the. Okay, we got him there. See if this works.
How's that
there
for
we
you?
Go. We got you.
Better?
Yeah,
okay.
We got you. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of, I was talking about that play where he basically flicked it while falling out of bounds, and he put it right in the back of the end zone or in the corner of the end zone. And his receiver, he put it in his receiver's hands. He just didn't catch it. And I think the camera panned over to the Bucs players on the sidelines, and they're like, "How in the world did he even get that off?" But that's just how
magician or something.
Seriously, and that's what he is. I mean, he's just because the Chiefs didn't win and they struggled offensively doesn't mean Patrick Mahomes is a bad quarterback. He's still, in my eyes, the best quarterback in the league. The Bucs just had a fantastic game plan, and he didn't have an offensive line. No matter, I don't care who you are, if you don't have guys that can block, you're going to lose, and you're not going to be able to, have the productive not be able to produce like you normally do as a quarterback if you don't get any protection.
I mean, yeah, they go from winning the Super Bowl to the boat parade, which was epic, and then they went right to work. I mean,
yeah,
that Jackie Davidson and Mike Greenberg and Jason Light did in re-signing everybody. I mean, as you're starting to see the names come in, and it starts with Levante David, and then it's Brady restructured, and then it's this, and then it's that, and were you like, can they do it? Can they really do this?
I really didn't think they would, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in that. I think most people thought there's no way financially they'd be able to do this, and not even financially. I mean, it never happens, right? I think the last time was in the 70s or something that a Super Bowl team brought. Yeah, that they brought back all their starters from the previous year. Guys, these are still while they are players, and it's all you always want to win. There's more to it than just oh, hey, let's run it back real quick, right? Or go for 2, as the Bucs like to say. Guys have their own thing. They have their own families. They have their own decisions to make. So it's not to get all 22 to come back. That's really impressive, man. And like you said, you mentioned the front office people. Kudos to them. Kudos to them to figure out the acrobatic work that they did with the salary cap to make everything fit properly. And then not only that, but to add on some other pieces to go get a guy like Gio Bernard. That's a great addition to the running back room. That's exactly the kind of back that Tom Brady needs. I mean, other than James White, Gio Bernard is probably one of the best third down backs in the league. I mean, he's
blocking, catching.
Yeah, a guy can do it all.
He's a better runner than James White too.
Yeah, he's a better runner. He's a fantastic pass catcher. He's been in the league for a long time. Good blocker, and a great locker room guy. From everything I've heard, I mean, he had his media availability a while ago. Seemed like one of the nicest guys I've ever seen. Although I missed the mustache. I hope the mustache comes back.
The mustache, right? Yeah, I mean, the craziest thing is his best friends with James White. And
the Wisconsin days
together, and even from Florida, they played Pop Warner.
That's right, Heritage. That's right. I got confused. I thought they both went to Wisconsin. I'm like, no, James White went there. Gio went to UNC, I believe.
Yeah.
But
but yeah, I mean, from playing, well, we got a frozen guy again. From playing, together in mini camp. I mean, in Pop Warner, and then all the way to high school together, going to different colleges. But it's a great story. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. We got Kenny back.
Yeah.
We got Kenny back.
There we go.
So I mean, then you segue into that, and then we start talking about the draft and all this, draft news and who they're going to take, what's it going to be, best player available, luxury picks. So they take a running back, take a wide receiver, and then they take an edge rusher in the first round. And you're like, okay, you go to sleep. We do the press conference, whatever. We go to sleep. We wake up the next day and in the second round, and they're like, quarterback, Kyle Trask, Florida. What were your thoughts when you heard that? Were you like, wait, a quarterback? Now I heard a lot of whispers coming from the facility. I don't know if you heard those too, that they were really enamored with this guy. So I thought third round they might take him, but I mean, and you look at what happened right after them with Davis Mills and the other quarterback going right after that in Kellen Mond. Were you surprised that happened like that? We're losing Kenny. Oh, we got him back. We lost him. We lost him completely. So we'll get those Johnny D and Kenny thought out. Well, Kenny's frozen again. We'll see if he can get back in here. But we'll go through some of these comments. Not only winning it, but the way we won it, the road we took to the Super Bowl, the teams we took down, and just to see our team get even better and better. It's got to be one of the best Super Bowl runs ever. It was amazing, We got Kenny back here.
Okay, here we go. I tried to sign out and sign back in, see if that helped.
Oh, we're good now. Oh, man, of course I said something. Now you're frozen again. Jesus. We'll figure this out. We'll get him back, and if we can't get him back, maybe just come in just audio, Kenny.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Turn the camera on.
Yeah, let me try that out. How do I turn that? I don't even know how to turn the camera off. Here, I'm gonna try to. 3 little buttons.
Maybe edit settings.
Here, let me sign. Oh, I see. Stop cam. There we go.
There you go.
All right,
okay.
Let's see.
Kyle Trask. Back on Kyle
Trask.
Trask.
We go. Okay, good. No, honestly, I thought there was a chance that they might take Trask with that 32nd overall pick. Just because I mean such a late first rounder, I think it's worth a flyer on him. And obviously, I think they talked about it, like Bruce Arians and that front office. They have a good relationship with Dan Mullen. And obviously Dan, Mullen has a good history of quarterbacks and what he's been able to do with those, with guys like Dak Prescott and whatnot. And I mean, Trask looked great at UF, man. I mean, and he's just a guy that, he comes into the exact situation that he's basically dealt with his entire life. He's always been a backup and just kind of sat there and waited his turn. And at each spot that he did that, whenever he did get his turn, he produced at a really high level.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a good chance for him. And also he fits well into Arians' offense, a guy that he can make multiple reads. He doesn't have a huge arm, but a solid enough arm to make deep throws. And you don't, Arians' offense, they're not going to ask Kyle Trask to go out here and run a bunch, right? They're not doing that with Brady. They're not going to do that with him. If God forbid Brady were to come out or something, their injury, be plugging Trask or whoever. Obviously, it would probably be Gabbert and whatnot, but a couple years down the line. I think it's a good fit. I think it makes sense. And it's kind of like what they said, I think it was Jason Light, where, Trask had a bunch of weapons at UF. He certainly did, especially Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney, both first rounders. He'll have him here in Tampa Bay with Evans and Godwin, and then whoever else is left over now with Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and then now Jalen Darden. It's a very talented room.
And Bruce said it too. I don't draft quarterbacks to run. I draft them to throw the ball. And his accuracy. Exactly. He's one of the best throwers in the league. And a lot of people use that as a knock too against him. Oh, he had Kyle Pitts, he had Kadarius Toney, he had all this firepower. Well, to me, that shows, and especially with these Alabama quarterbacks, that shows that they can run a pro style offense, and not only that, but B, also throw to pro caliber guys. If you're throwing to Joe Schmoes over here, and I mean nothing against like a Justin Watson or Josh Pearson or those guys. I mean, these guys are fringe roster players, special team guys. You're throwing to Kyle Pitts, who's one of the best prospects we've seen. I know you can throw to prospects like that.
Exactly.
You're throwing to a guy like Kadarius Toney. I know you can throw to the guys like that. So that's sometimes some people use that as a knock, but I think it's also a good point as well, because
I would agree, and I just think at the end of the day, if you're going to play quarterback, you have to be able to be a good decision maker. And Trask was. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, he only had, I think he threw like 40 plus touchdowns and maybe 7 or 8 picks.
8 interceptions.
8 interceptions. I mean, and if you watch him play, he really doesn't make a lot of bad decisions. He doesn't. He knows when to. It's kind of like poker, right? He knows when to hold him, he knows when to fold him.
Yeah.
So I like him as a guy that can come in, let him sit down for a little bit, see what you got, and if he can become your starter in a couple of years, great, awesome. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's a second rounder.
Yeah.
It's not a first rounder.
And you look at the Patriots did too. The Patriots did that the whole time. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Stidham, bringing Matt Castle, Jacoby Brissett. They brought guys in to sit behind Brady the entire time, whether they were to be the heir apparent or just have a capable backup to develop and then maybe flip like they did with
like what they did with Jimmy G. Who knows if you get Kyle Trask eventually Gabbert and the preseason GOAT Ryan Griffin, they're going to be gone at some point. If Kyle Trask can come in a year or two and play a handful of games or just some garbage time or whatever and show some promise, maybe that's enough for a team to say, hey, we're willing to give him a shot. And then, hey, you can get your second round pick back maybe or whatever. You can flip
third round pick and you have a backup for 2-3 years, There
you go.
It makes a lot of sense. I think you should always be developing quarterbacks, and especially with this team right here. You got Tom Brady, just the coaching staff with Tom Moore and Clyde Christensen, Byron Leftwich, Bruce Arians. Like, they should be developing quarterbacks as often as they can because
100%.
They're damn good at it.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, we're through the draft. Now it brings us to the schedule release, man.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on that schedule release, on the home opener against the Cowboys, on, the Patriots being early in the season instead of later, the Bills being later in the season instead of earlier, and that game against the Rams right before the Pats? What are your thoughts on that schedule?
Well, I mean, I like it if you're a Bucs fan, all right? I mean, it's a pretty easy schedule for the most part. You look at it,
Nothing like last year.
No. I mean, it helps you're playing the AFC East, right, instead of the AFC West.
The NFC.
I mean, I know a lot of folks are kind of interested. Oh, hey, like we'll go undefeated and all that stuff. That's hard to do. I'm not going to go there. But I could easily see this team winning, 13, 14, 15 games. The schedule is really, really favorable. I love that Cowboys opener. I think that's a really fun game. That's going to get a lot of eyeballs just because I know Dallas hasn't been that good recently, but I mean, they're still Dallas. They're America's team. And it'll be cool to see Dak come back from injury. I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I root for him. He's a likable dude. And that was a tough injury he went through.
Especially after being pulled to the mud like that with Jarrah. For
contract situation and stuff. That
he deserves it.
I commend him a lot for going through all that and now fighting through this. I mean, that Patriots game is going to be cool. I'm excited to watch that. I know I got a buddy here who's a huge Boston sports fan. And
Jordan, right?
Jordan, Jordan Moore. He wants. I think he's trying to get tickets for that as soon as possible.
I'm going to try to get credentials for it. I know it's a long shot because every national media member will want to be there, but I'm going to still apply for them. And if not, hopefully I can fly up there, talk one of my buddies with the season tickets, and maybe be like, hey, you can come on the show or something. Or
that would be awesome.
A Bucs game, we'll swap tickets or something like that. But definitely want to get to see that.
That Rams game is going to be interesting to me. I think that could be one of their losses, just because it was a loss last season in Tampa. That's still a really good defense, and that offense upgraded. I mean, I think Matt Stafford is still a really, really good quarterback. He just got dealt a bad hand being in Detroit. I mean, he didn't really have a lot to work with there. Now he gets to work, with one of the best offensive minds in the game in Sean McVay, and he has good weapons around him.
Yeah, complete offense. Offensive line, running back with Cam Akers.
Yep.
You have the weapons, and then that defense. He's got a complete team. Something Stafford has never had his entire career. So, the one thing that I will say is it's early in the year. I hope they're still working through some of those kinks, but I think that will be a preview of the NFC Championship game potentially.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I definitely do see LA probably being Tampa Bay's biggest concern in terms of contenders who could really compete with the Bucs in terms of getting to the Super Bowl, going through the NFC. That's going to be one of the Bucs' biggest hurdles will be LA, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we got rookie mini camp this week, and you're going to be out there at all?
I'm not, unfortunately. I don't think I got assigned out there. I've got to see who we're sending out there. But I'll be keeping an eye out though. See if anyone pops.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Joe Tryon hitting the field for the first time, since last year with cameras on him, after opting out. So that's going to be a good thing, a good player to watch and see if he's improved in areas. You have guys like Kyle Trask out there. They brought in some undrafted free agents to kind of monitor and see how those are going to go. But I'm excited for minicamp. I'll be out there Saturday, so I'll be bringing live coverage out from there. So I'm excited for that. And just seeing these guys for the first time, seeing Grant Stewart and Jalen Darden and that speed that he brings, and Chris Wilcox.
Yeah, he's crazy. The Grant Stewart kid, I like him. He played at Houston, I believe. Yeah. And that same conference, I'm a UCF alum and fan, so I remember watching him play. I think he forced a fumble against UCF. I think Light talked about it. He's crazy, man. Like he's just like a ball of energy, and he just has a nose for the football.
And versatility too.
Yeah. I believe, I'm not mistaken, I think he said like he's played in previous interviews, he's played almost every position on defense, going back to his, early days, high school, college, whatever. So I think he's got a shot at sticking, even though he's a 7th rounder, Mr. Irrelevant. I think he's got a shot at sticking, especially if he's good on special teams.
Yeah, me too. We had John Ledyard on the show earlier, and we both put out 53s, and he's got Raven Green, the safety that was signed from Green Bay, making it because he's been that big linebacker type role. And I have Grant Stewart making it because I think, like you said, he just runs around with his hair on fire. Special teams, I think, is going to be an ace. And plus, he's played nickel safety before. Yeah. Actually led the team in tackles with Houston. So I think.
Oh, there you go. He kind of reminds me of who was you might know more than I can't remember his name, but there was back when they had oh my goodness, Hard Knocks for the Bucs. There was a guy with long hair. He was a fan favorite for Bucs fans, and he was like a practice squad guy, special teams dude, but he was just so
Riley
much energy.
Riley Ball or something like that.
Yes, yeah. I think that was his name. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Okay, yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, that guy. He was a fan favorite. I remember watching that. Not even a fan of the Bucs. I was like, yeah, this guy definitely brings it. So yeah, I mean,
ton of energy and just plays with like his hair's on fire, and it just and he was really big on special teams, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how he kind of stuck with the Bucs for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, I want to thank you for coming on here. Always a pleasure to have you on. I'm sure we'll have you on multiple times again before the season's over, but go ahead and promote yourself real quick. Where can they find you?
All right. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully I'll have a better internet by then. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Kenny Morales TV. Same thing on Instagram, same handle. And then every night, 10:30 on Bay News 9, if you have it, we have our nightly show, Spectrum Sports 360. We cover it all, man. All sports in the Tampa Bay area, high school, college, pros, and national as well.
Awesome. Kenny Morales, guys, the Spectrum Bay News 9. Make sure you tune into Spectrum Bay News 9 if you have it. Some of the best coverage in Tampa Bay, especially with that Clyde Strong 9. Gotta love that thing. But Kenny, always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks, man.
Hey, appreciate it as always, man. Take it easy.
Absolutely. Guys, feel free to call in. Looks like we have a number calling in right now. Please feel free to call in. All right. Hello,
call for.
It's the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen live.
That's a cool little thing on the phone number, huh? Hey, caller, who we got?
This is Matt in Oklahoma.
Hey, Matt, how we doing, my man? Welcome to the Audible.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Well, Harry has a hard time hearing this phone, so I was wondering if I needed to switch it.
Nah, that's just Harry.
I'm good.
Oh, we got another call, too. Let's see if I can merge these calls real quick. Hey, call
for.
It's the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen live on Bucs Report.
Hey, caller, what's your name? Who are you calling from?
Hey.
Oh, so we got Tampa Bay Ray and we have Matt Colson. Guys, how we doing today?
We're all good.
Let me turn the volume up here on your phone line. Welcome to the Audible. We're just talking about the schedule release. We just got done with Kenny Morales. He was on here for a little bit talking about, the Buccaneers and their path to the Super Bowl and then being able to re-sign these and rookie minicamp. Guys, who are you most excited to see this rookie minicamp?
Go ahead, man. I'm still hearing Joshua talk. I got like a double thing here going. It's like stereo out of sync.
Little delay.
So,
hey,
Josh,
technical
let me call you back.
difficulties. Trying out some new equipment here. So.
Yeah, I love it. Now, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you guys fine.
So go ahead. But go ahead and talk to John. Let me call you back because this is messed up.
All right, no problem. Give me a call back. Ray Kennedy, how we doing? Can you hear me fine?
Good. Now can you hear me fine?
I can hear you perfectly. Can everybody hear Ray Kennedy in the comments? Let me know.
Someone's got to stop.
So what do you think? What are your thoughts on the schedule? Obviously, you had your show with Harry the Greek last night, breaking down the schedule. But what are your thoughts about that? And what are you most excited about with this rookie minicamp coming on in this week? Ray Kennedy. Technical difficulties, gotta love them. Heyo. All right. Phone line's not working right now. We'll figure it out. Maybe it's because I got two people calling at the same time. One of you guys give me a call back, or someone on here, go ahead and give me a call. Let's see if we can get this call line working. But until then, I did drop the StreamYard link. I will drop the StreamYard link down in the comments if you guys want to jump on here. Looks like everyone could kind of hear. It was a little bit low. We'll work on that. We'll get that set for you. But if you guys do want to call in, there's an easy way. Pull out your QR code. Just scan that QR. We'll bring up my number right away. All you got to do is press send and join the phone call, join the show. We got about 14 minutes left before we wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great show so far, but we'll talk about this schedule release a little bit more because I think that there's a lot to unpack here. That's live for you, right? Exactly, Johnny Dean. That's why Johnny didn't want to be the guinea pig. There's a lot to unpack here with the schedule. I mean, anyone in the locker room? Let's see if we can get some locker room people come up. Alex, the touchdowns. You guys want to come up? Talk a little Bucs. I mean, we usually do it here in the app. Why not do it live on the Audible here on Bucs Report? Send you guys a couple invites. Touchdowns. How we doing?
How are you?
Good. We got touchdowns down here from the Locker Room app live on the show. So what have you thought? I mean, you've been listening to the show the entire time here in the Locker Room app. First of all, if you want to tell anybody a little bit about the Locker Room app and, why it's so, great, to use and so much fun. But then, your thoughts on the show and some of these guests and what we had to talk about.
Yeah, Locker Room is a pretty awesome app. It's like talking sports at a bar, but you get to deal with people all over. There's all sorts of different rooms and people host a podcast like you are.
Yeah.
But I was going to talk about a mini camp.
Yes.
And I'd like to really kind of curious about how Trask's going to do and just what he looks like all the way to the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest lines to watch. Obviously, Joe Tryon opting out and not playing for the entire 2020 season. But Kyle Trask is a big one too. And they brought in a running back. I mentioned earlier, Tremaine Pope, played with the Chargers last year. They have just enough offensive linemen to field a full offensive line unit, which means one of these guys is going to get reps at center who normally doesn't play center. And that's going to be either second-year player Nick Lervette. It's going to be Sedarius Hutchinson, Robert Hainsey. One of these guys is going to get some time at center. So it's extra snaps, and we'll see how that goes with the exchange because I know some of these guys have been working on it all offseason. Add some versatility to their game. And I think that's really, with no true center on the roster, I think that's how some of these guys are going to make the team is by having that versatility there. But what that will really allow Trask to do is he's got wide receivers to throw to. He's got Darden. He's got a couple other players that they're bringing back. It also allows him to, show handoffs and show, running back protection schemes and show dump offs to the running back. So I'm excited to get there Saturday and watch this kid and see, his mechanics, see his throwing motion, see how he is, if they do, 7-on-7s or rush drills and see how those go. But it's really kind of get to know the guys, and there'll be a live press conference tomorrow with Trask, Tryon, and Hainsey. So make sure you guys tune in, to Bucs Report and my Twitter for live tweets from that and watch the thing as well. But minicamp's going to be interesting. I'm definitely excited to get there and see it firsthand. And I'm excited to bring that and relay all that information to you guys here on Bucs Report, here on the show, here through written articles, and obviously here on Locker Room as well. Me and John will be there on Saturday together. So our Tuesday show, if we don't move it because of the hockey game, we'll be able to, come on here and break down what we saw and what we think these guys are going to get better, could get better at. But what else you got? Touchdowns.
Preseason games is going to affect any of the people roster spots or anything for any teams, negatively for dudes who are just borderline.
Yeah, I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. Is usually that third game is a dress rehearsal, right? You play your starters at least a quarter, if not a half, see what they can do. Go out there, and then the fourth game is pretty much you throw a starter here and there if they need the extra work, if they've been banged up. But for the most part, you're just going out there and you're throwing out the guys who are on the bubble, who could potentially make the roster, who could potentially not make the roster. So those are the type of guys you're seeing in Game 4. With only 3 preseason games, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, to see how to really see how they set these games up. Is it going to be the second week going to be that dress rehearsal? Is the third week without the fourth week? So, I mean, this team is with other teams, it's going to be, I think, more difficult, but with this team, it's already so set and locked in. You're really, really competing for, you have guys competing for these, fourth, inside linebacker spot, fifth cornerback spot, fourth safety spot, ninth lineman spot, sixth, you can maybe even say sixth wide receiver, although I don't think so. I think Darden's the guy there, but I mean, you really don't have to, you're really not trying to fill many holes on the roster. I mean, is it going to be Pat O'Connor or is it going to be Jeremiah Ledbetter? Is it going to be Benning Potoa'e? Is it going to be one of those defensive guys that they keep Steve McClendon? And, I think it's really going to be, come down to just, comfortability on where they want to play these guys. There's not a lot of young guys who need to go out and earn spots. So it's going to be different than any other season before. Got anything else for us?
I've enjoyed your show. I like the guests. I hope you do this more often.
Absolutely. Every Thursday we'll be live on Locker Room. I appreciate you sticking in here the entire show, coming up here, having conversations with me. We're going to call back. Matt Colson because he just called us back. So we'll get him back on here. Let's go. Here we go. We got Matt Colson back on the line. Let's see if we can get him.
You have a call for.
It's the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen live on Bucs Report.
Hey, Matt, we got you back?
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear us now?
I hear you great.
Perfect.
I was hearing you twice.
Oh, that's weird.
It's like two different conversations saying the same thing.
You know what I have to say about technology?
First wife.
You know what I have to say about technology? That's boo technology.
It gives us all the derps every once in a while.
Exactly.
But I wanted to, since I got you on the phone here, we wanted to talk to you about the schedule.
Yes, sir.
Prognostication, I guess, is a good word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to talk to Harry about it yesterday, and it got me sideways, so I couldn't remember what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, Harry has a penchant for doing that.
So it was actually Ray that did it. He was going to sell me a car.
Ray's even worse.
Wait, all right. Well, here's the thing.
Wait. Time out. He was going to sell you a car?
Yeah, because I told him we're going to have 3 losses, and he said, "What are they going to be?" And at the moment, I didn't have the paper in front of me, so I went off the top of my head. And I'll do it again. I think we're going to split with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think Washington football team is going to be a tough game.
Out of the bye,
we could lose that one. After the bye, yeah, that's in our favor, but we couldn't hardly handle them in the playoffs, and they haven't really gone backwards. They're going forwards.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what to think about that game. It kind of sticks out at me. And the last one you were talking about with the other guy about the Rams, that's the one that Ray suggested to me, and I said yes. And he says, "Well, I think I want to put you in a car because I'm selling you teams that you can pick out of a list." But I don't think the Rams are. Oh my God, what was that?
It's a new soundboard I have. I got a bunch of different sounds and stuff like that. So just playing with it while I have one of these miscreants on the phone.
Okay, well, I wasn't expecting that. My son walked in at the exact same second. I don't know how that happened. There's like poltergeist going on around here. But the Rams, there you go. There you go. All right, well, I think the Rams have gotten better, and I think we don't travel to the West Coast. I know everybody gets tired of hearing that, but we have historically always lost a game going west when we did that. And I don't know. That one kind of sits at me a little bit funny, like we've got a good chance to lose it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I still say we're 17-3, and that's 3 that we need to lose in the regular season to keep our head on straight. If we go into this 8-0, which is what I really wanted to have happen for the Tommy Slam, then he'd have 16-0 on a run, which I don't know of anybody who's done that lately. But I think that would be a marker that he'd be shooting for. And I think I know we can do the Cowboys without a problem. Atlanta blows chunks. The Patriots have me kind of tossed up a little bit because if we're judging off last year half the team was opted out. So those guys took a year off rest, and they're only going to be better. So when your starters sit out for 16 games, it creates a problem. I think when they come back, Belichick's going to want to have a little bit of a payback for the credit they gave him last year and kept him on the roster. Miami doesn't affect me much. And
the Eagles would be next. Thursday night game.
I'm not too concerned with.
Yeah.
Right. And
this is a Thursday night game makes me nervous a little bit, especially coming after 4 days rest. You're going up against, you just played 3 tough defenses. Now you're going up to Philly. I think they should win that game, but as we all know, Thursday night games are just this different animal. It puts, if you have 2 good teams, it makes it a really good matchup. If you have a good team and a bad team, it always seems like that good team plays down to the competition, because they're tired and it's been a short week. But then they get that mini bye after, which is nice. They get that mini bye after the first game, 10 days off. Then after
Chicago,
exactly.
I mean,
at home,
Chicago should be a laydown. That should be a laydown. I don't see a problem there. And I don't think New Orleans is going to do more than second. They're going to be in 3rd or 4th place, so they don't concern me that much. But I'm pretty high on Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to take over the division, but they've got a lot going there. And if they can get it going.
The thing about Carolina, those games too.
By the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's what. Like you said,
we're going to play them 2 out of 3 games.
Exactly,
and it's at the end of the year when everybody's clicking, and we could either be broken or having people come back or whatever. It's just that bracket scares me.
Hopefully, you're resting people, right? I mean, hopefully that loss comes in the last week of the season because you're resting people because you locked up the number 1 overall seed.
Does Arians follow that? Does he believe in that?
And with
at least a half.
With a veteran team like this, I'm not sure. I mean, he didn't really have. I mean, going back to the Arizona, I think they had the number 1 seed. I don't know if he had too many veterans. And you're talking about guys like JPP, Sue, Gronk, Brady. Antonio. I think he would want to rest some of those guys that last week. Maybe get them out there just so they get their official start. But then pull them after the first series or something like that. Yeah, quarter, half, something like that.
Something. Because I think Larry Fitzgerald played in Arizona every game he had a chance to. I don't think he ever sat out a game, at least to start. And he was kind of the leader of the wide receiver crew out there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's an Arians makeup to do that. It makes sense to let him sit if we're a lock, especially if we don't have a wild card issue. If we're going to be the outright winner, then we get a week off after too. So that would be good. But I don't think we're going to have too much trouble this year. I really don't. I was thinking till this form came in front of me that shows me what we're going to be doing, that we could easily do 17-0. I really do think if everything fell in line like it did last year, without Vita Vea getting hurt in the first couple of weeks, and we have a full complement of our Super Bowl team for the majority of the year, there's nobody out there that can match us 1-to-1 across the board. So they're going to have to come up with something creative. But as soon as you say that, you realize Miami Dolphins 72 was the only team that could ever pull it off, and there's a reason for that. So they did it with a second-string quarterback, too. People don't realize that. Bob Greasy was sidelined all the year till the playoffs. So they went undefeated with a nobody quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think they lose more than 4 games. I mean, I just looking at the schedule, looking at, this roster, if everyone is healthy, I don't think they lose more than 4 games all season long. I mean, I think they're that good of a team. I think it's that, they're that disciplined. We know, going back to preseason with the current, that first practice they had when Bruce Arians, a man of few words, never really makes speeches, he made that speech, and I love it. And if you go into the Bucs facility, it's on the wall there. It's respect, trust, and loyalty. Respecting each other to do the right thing, trusting that, and loyalty to what? Loyalty to a cause, and that's winning the world championship. And I think those words carry a lot of weight within this locker room. And, the people that they brought in, I mean, young guys are young guys, but, Giovanni Bernard understands that. Some of these other veterans on special teams, they understand that, and they'll be able to fall in line quickly with what this team's trying to accomplish. And if you can't, you'll be gone real quick. But I think that means a lot in the scheme of things. And I'm really excited to see how this team comes back together and if they can pick up where they left off. Because, I mean, the first complete, we've talked about it, that the first complete game they played was the Super Bowl. So in the playoffs. So I mean, if they can come back and have that type of success, but still be able to build upon that, because there are things that were taken out of Bruce's playbook and that Brady couldn't do or wasn't able to add, and now that they have a guy like Gio plus the 12 personnel, I mean, if you get OJ Howard back, it's game over. It's so difficult for the league to be able to prepare against 12 personnel with the Buccaneers, because if they hit you with 3 wide and 2 tight ends, good luck. If they hit you with 3 wide, 2 tight ends, and a running back, good. I mean, it's just really difficult for you to figure out where they want to go. They got Topasayo says
this team's talent pool is so deep, like you're saying, it's so deep. Even if OJ Howard, who routinely gets injured at some point, goes out, we don't miss much going down the next guy. And you got Scotty Miller and that other, I can't remember that guy's name, but he
Tyler Johnson.
The hell out of me.
Tyler Johnson.
That kid has something.
Yeah,
it's raw, but he could be manipulated. He could be coached into something really
amazing
really
catches.
Good. Oh my God, he pulled some defied physics, and to see that happen. I've watched football since Roger Staubach was almost a rookie. Yeah. So I've seen Lynn Swann, and I've seen Randy Moss, and I've seen Kellen Winslow, and all of these super greats that are in the Hall of Fame. And that boy made some catches that I have never seen before.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of those fluky falling backwards, one-handed OBJ kind of things. He just stopped momentum and went the opposite direction. And you just can't do that. It's not possible. They'd call that a UFO if he was a plane. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it was.
And to have that kind of concentration that kid had, knowing that it was that particular play was a third down and one that was important, and he had the wherewithal to keep himself together enough to where he had able to move his body and put himself in a position. He put his hands under that ball and fall.
And if you look at that
other direction,
if you look at that Green Bay game too, Brady just overthrew him on another third down completion that he laid out, extended his body back, and it was just like 2 inches too high for him. He would have made another incredible catch as well. I mean, he's on a good trajectory. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, it's just going to be tough to get snaps because of the guys in front of him, and then drafting a guy like Jaden Darden, who also brings just a different level and different type of skill set to the team, something they don't have. The guy is elusive as all heck. Like, I have not seen a guy move like this, playing in the league. With his size and his speed and his just ability to make defenders miss as a wide receiver is just amazing. I think he led he was third in the country with yards after the catch, behind Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 of the best route runners in the entire draft class. So the guy's got chops, and I expect him to see the field right away as well. I mean, Johnny Dean's calling Tyler Johnson the Matrix.
Yeah, he is. Call him. Oh, what was his name? Neo.
Neo. Yeah, call him Neo.
The one.
We'll give him a nickname,
yeah.
Neo. But Matt, I'm going to wrap the show up.
We need to make that stick.
Matt, I'm going to wrap the show up. I appreciate you calling in, man. I really do. Testing out the number, getting the kinks out for me, bringing some great content as always.
I appreciate that. I noticed in the chat, just for your knowledge, that you put the 813 area code in the chat. So you might want to check your typos on that.
Yeah. It's not 813. It's 833. 813 is my area code. It's 833. So I think I fixed it in the banners here down here. 833 is a toll-free number. It's toll-free. So it's like an 800 number. So it doesn't cost anyone any money to call it. But 813 is Tampa.
Who pays long distance on the cell phone anymore?
Yeah, right. I mean, who knows? Minutes after. Don't call me after 9 unless it's free. But
back in the day, I used to sell those things when nobody wanted them. I had to give it up when everybody got to the point it was a utility, and I ended up feeling like the water bill. It really irritated me.
I only have so many minutes.
But the guy's talking about you got 2 hours of weekend minutes, and the guy says, I'll use that up just talking to my wife. Well, then quit talking to your wife.
Which shows that easy, right? Sometimes. Matt, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, Joshua. I'll talk to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you. There you guys go. The phone line's working. We got the phone lines working for next week, so don't be afraid. We've got the scrolling banner. Plus, we've also got this wonderful thing my wife put together for me that you can just take your phone, QR code, scan it right on the screen. My number will pop up in there. You can save it, so all you got to do is press send. We got a couple other got in trouble with that comment. Sex line number. Never, Johnny. Who pays for that stuff anymore? So my wife asked my brother-in-law, Pat Horgan, because he's a Patriots fan, what his thoughts were on the Bucs versus Pats. So he said it's going to be a great game to watch. I want Pats to still win, but I say TB and 12 and the Bucs will win. So hey, he's a smart guy. I mean, I want the Pat. This is the thing, guys. I root for the Buccaneers to win as many games as they can. Because it's great content for me as a writer and as a host and as an analyst. I am a Patriots fan. You guys should know that. I moved down here from New England. It is the Audible. So that game I might be rooting for a different thing, but we'll know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I might miss work the next day being upset. But I think the Bucs are just their team is just too tough, and they're going to be figuring out who their quarterback is going to be, trying to implement these new weapons. It's only week 4, trying to get everybody in the right position. Having a preseason and having an offseason will definitely, help with that, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll be up in New England, covering this game and bringing you guys great content. I know I will be there on Saturday at Bucs rookie minicamp, covering it, bringing you guys great content on my Twitter, on Bucs Report. Follow me at Joshua_C_Allen. But guys, with that being said, we've had some great guests on the show, from John Ledyard. We had John Ledyard on here, a Pewter Report, good friend of mine. We do a show every Tuesday on Locker Room. So make sure if you guys don't have Locker Room, you get on that for Apple. They do have an Android beta open right now. So sign up for that. Hopefully you guys can get on there and talk some sports with us. I want to thank our other guest here that we had, Coach Yo Murphy from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former player, also from Yo Murphy Performance. Make sure you guys check that out. He does, like he said, he's got corporate classes. So if you guys want to train like an athlete with athletes, like I said, he just had Devontae Smith, and he had guys like Nelson Aguilar and Ali Marpet. Who knows? You might be in the same class as them, training with them on the same regiment. So, hey, check that out at YoMurphy.com, Yo Murphy Performance. Check him out. Want to thank our guest, Evan Winter, head writer here at Bucs Report. Always great stuff, great content. Check him out at BucsReport.com. Jacob Charnow, as always, for coming on and breaking down our halftime for us on the halftime report from Hard Count Football Podcast. And also we're also going to give a huge shout out to Kenny Morales from Spectrum Bay News 9 for coming on here and talking a little sports with us, going back into history, as the Bucs players and coaches say, back in history, and talking about the Super Bowl win, because we're putting that in the past, and talking about, this week's rookie mini camp and the schedule release and stuff. So big thanks to him, and thank you to Matt. Thank you to Johnny. I know it didn't for being a trooper in the comments. Thank you for my wife in the comments. Thank you for Pat, everybody in the comments for commenting. Thank you to everybody down on Locker Room app, for Siobhan for coming on, for touchdowns, and so for Alex for sticking around the entire time. DC the Don, Leroy, thank you to all you guys. Ray Kennedy for trying to call in, although it failed. Everybody out in the comments, I want to thank you guys. Stay tuned every week here on Thursday for the Audible. Thank you so much, Carl. Make the right call with Bucs Report here on the Audible every Thursday night. We got great guests coming. Next week, I think we're going to have Jake Arians on the show. Obviously, former kicker, host of the Draft Network Fantasy Show. Also, Bruce Arians' son. Hopefully, we're going to have some players here, including possibly a new Buccaneers draft pick, a new Buccaneers free agent signing. So we're going to get some good stuff coming on here soon, more content, more ways to get you guys involved with the StreamYard, with the phone call, with the Locker Room. So, guys, I want to thank you guys for being here. I can't say that enough, because without you guys, here and consuming the content, I can't give you the best content. I can't do what I do here. So, again, thank you guys for being here. It's the Audible every Thursday night. I'm your host, Joshua Cole Allen. Make the right call. Tune in here, and we're going to give you a great show. I promise you that, every Thursday night until the season comes. And then, we'll figure out what day we're moving until then. But for right now, we're here Thursday night. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.
We them Bucs, and we taking over. 31 teams, best look over your shoulder. We them Bucs. It's our time to shine. They ain't never gonna stop, and we on the grind, and we the Bucs. Our team is louder, putting fear up in the league, and they folding power. We the Bucs, and we winning it all. The ship is in our backyard, and this year is ours.